Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if neglected Naruto and his daughter in rwby. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by AzureFlameXIIIGod and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Prologue. The interview. A man with messy gray hair and a pair of spectacles examined the resume in his hands. Quite a lot of odd jobs for one the same age as the students who first enter his academy. All of them were things the applicant was at one point good at until he changed into another job. From what the previous employers have said, the applicant was dedicated to his work, however menial the task. That being said, he did not stop satisfying his urge to have a little fun. The man certainly knew that a young adult needed to cling on their last footholds of childhood. The man lowered the paper that held his client's job history, then leaned forward in interest. His midnight black suit's creases ever so slightly moved into their new positions. So tell me why a young man, who has his whole life ahead of him, want to wash it all away in a demeaning job as a custodian? The applicant did not answer. I see. Let me rephrase that. Why are you limiting that raw potential you have as a huntsman? The man handed down a tablet so that the applicant could see what he saw in the younger man. It was a camera recording of what transpired several nights ago. The apprehension of two gangs in a turf war in Vale's main plaza. Among the sea of gang members, one who stood out was the applicant himself holding several bags of groceries in the middle of all the madness about to ensue. The applicant, a young man with a golden mane of spiky hair, shook his head. He crossed his arms and attempted to bounce off the question. I thought I was being interviewed whether or not I get the job. You are. The man replied. The recording continued playing. The two mobs who were parted before had converged on the young applicant's position. Whatever words were said in between were insignificant. On screen, the young man was hounded by enemies from all around. Swords, axes, batons, and guns were drawn. The young man evaded the melee attacks without any wasted movement, then countered by disarming them one by one via the breaking of clavicles, elbows, or wrists. When it came to the offensive, it was there that the young man showed his sloppiness. His punches weren't proper and were akin to mindless flailing due to the fact he added too much force onto a hit that would not land. Despite it, he knew how to move in and out of range. He was quite wily too. He ducked and weaved right into their guard and tripped them down before he stomped on their faces. Crude, but effective enough. He stopped the recording and continued his speech. As headmaster of this prestigious academy, I'm supposed to evaluate both aspiring students as well as staff. The headmaster took a sip of his coffee, then continued after he set the mug down on the table. What boggles me is that you're the first of your age group to ever file an application to work here in my school. Most people your age who come here send their transcripts, not their resumes. And this is important. Why? The young blonde asked irritably. I'm here for the job. I'm not here to become a student. I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Many would think otherwise, that you were at the right place at the right time. The headmaster said critically. You sent 100 men in jail. Not a small feat for inexperienced fighters. You've potential, boy. Why waste it? Because I'm not capable. Because compared to them, I'm nothing. Because I have better things to do. Because I don't need to fight Grim to make the world a better place. The young man snarled honestly. Osborne was not intimidated by the young man's rising anger, accentuated by his feral appearance. The blonde woman in a white-collared, long-sleeved shirt that puffed at the wrists and revealed a sizable cleavage. She wore a black business skirt that ran from her thighs to just beneath her bust, where the buttons to keep it in place were. She stepped forward with footsteps signaling her every intention. The boy knew the intention a person had towards him by the footsteps they created. Loud, heavy steps with erratic rhythm signaled anger or something along the lines. Soft springs in their steps meant they were happy or at least relieved by something. This woman, she was angry. Her sharp tone easily confirmed his guess. I would not speak with that kind of attitude, Mr. Uzumaki. You are still being interviewed. It's unwise to speak to your possible employer like that. The young man leaned back into his chair. But it really has nothing to do with the situation, lady. I'm trying to get it back into that topic, not go deeper into why I can't enter your school. The two executive members of the academy stared at each other. Osborne. Osborne seemed to deviate from the woman's hidden suggestion to not press further into the issue. Can't you say? The applicant sent another bout of silence. Pray tell, can you not come to my academy normally? The young man raised an eyebrow. I thought you want experienced students for that. Are you not? Osborne fired back. You carry yourself as a capable fighter. If you can call surviving in the red light district experience, sure. Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. His snappy and disheartened answer irritated the woman. Well, it was normal. The way the boy talked irked her for some reason. The boy waved his hand as a way to dismiss or undermine whatever skill he has. I have experience, but not against Grim. I only know how to fight people. It's not even a proper or clean way. My methods are dirty with no style to them. I use anything and everything I can to win in a fight. I don't even have a proper weapon. Just my fists and some fancy pair of gauntlets that don't do anything. Osmond was interested at that. A weapon you own, but don't know how to use. Peculiar. I'm not here to learn, sir. The young man reiterated. I'm here for a job. Why is it important for you to get this job? Osmond wondered. I'm broke for one. The blonde answered snappily. By the way, that's another reason why I can't come into your precious academy. Osmond diligently listened whereas the woman, Glinda, forced herself to stay calm. Tuition is a bit too much. Several digits more than what I get bi-weekly or annually. Other than that, I want to get this job because it pays far better than any janitor job in any place in Vale. And what will you do with that money? The young man turned away and faced the cityscape of Vale outside the window of the headmaster's office. Survive for one. Being an orphan for your whole life will teach you that. Neither Osmond nor Glinda showed any signs of reacting to his self-disclosure. Another is that I have to repay my debt to the lady in the orphanage. If it weren't for her guidance, I'd be stuck being a petty thief that stole people's wallets and snacked on leftovers while I slept in cold warehouses. She also helped me write that piece of paper in front of you. I can barely read, sir. You're talking pretty decently for one who can barely read. Osmond noted. Shall I chalk it up to your experience in the streets that made you knowledgeable? A nod. Well, that's most interesting. Why have you not had the chance to learn? Well, again, There are public schools, you realize. Osmond pointed out. You could continue your education there. It's free after all, how have you not done that? The orphanage is in shambles, headmaster. The young man explained. The monthly bills to keep water pumping in there as well as the dust needed for heating and air are some of the utility problems we have. Space is another. There are so many in the orphanage now that there are 3 to a bed and 5 on the floor in a 4-person bedroom. A fist hit the table. The landlady needs that money to expand and get space. And with that many mouths, food is another problem. I've been working 3 jobs to keep it up and running. A few of the older ones are doing the same. I then gave it up to get into this one because it paid far better than the others combined. We owe our lives to that woman and the orphanage she allowed us to live in. So from the moment we could talk and do small work, we did everything we could to make that orphanage better. We didn't have time to learn because we chose to help her. You're serious about repaying debts, it seems. Osmond mused. Whatever gave you that idea? The applicant sarcastically questioned. I will allow an honest man an honest job. Osmond remarked. And you have been awfully honest with me. The man stayed silent for a few moments after. I shall hire you, Naruto Uzumaki. The young man's eyes brightened. However, a condition if you will. The young man dulled instantly. You will continue your basic studies here in Beacon. I will not force you to take any classes, but there is the library you can go to in order to advance yourself, no matter how small the triumph. You're even free to enter the gymnasium if you are inclined to keep yourself fit. Naruto narrowed his eyes, suspicious of the condition. Really? I only want to help you. Osmond replied sincerely. And if giving you an education is the only way I can, then I will give it to you. So will you take the job, Naruto? Naruto considered it. While he needed the job, he didn't need to learn. He was already far behind everyone else. He couldn't catch up no matter how he tried. Saddening, yes, but it was a truth he admitted to himself by making his sole purpose in life to help the lady and her orphanage. But to get this job, he had to learn at his own pace. It didn't need to be overly difficult in concept at all or even too advanced for his literacy level. What to do, he hummed as he wondered whether or not the deal was worth it. I'll do it. Osmond smiled as he handed a tablet and a set of keys. Then you will need these. A scroll here is like an electronic key and identification here for this academy. The actual keys there are for your room and for the various custodian closets found in the several buildings on campus. Refer to your map on your scroll for navigation. What about my uniform? Naruto asked. Don't I need one to separate me from the students? It would be quite confusing for others to think of me as one of them. Already supplied in your room. Seems like you expected me. Naruto observed. I have no idea what you mean. Is that it? Indeed. Congratulations on getting the job, young man. Osmond said. May your time here with us be of benefit to you. You can use the rest of your time to familiarize yourself with the place if you so choose. He outstretched his right hand. Naruto took it and firmly grasped the headmaster's hand. Soon, the young man left the room with a skip in his steps. The young man's retreating back showed the heavily used orange crop jacket and black t-shirt. His black pants were somehow still in good shape, but they've seen quite a bit of action. The extra pockets on the thighs were almost torn apart but still capable of carrying something. The elders could see the content Naruto had through his body language and it brightened the headmaster's day a little. Glinda on the other hand was concerned. She was the first to speak her mind. Was it wise of you to do this? Ozpin lowered his head. He took the scroll on the table and replayed the scene he showed to Naruto. I pray it is. Naruto's existence is a problem. His guardian already explained that clearly to us. He paused the video right when Naruto brandished his so-called useless weapon. A pair of vibrant red gauntlets that shamed the brightest of reds with its color and form that fit perfectly on Naruto's hands and forearms. Intricate designs of flame wrapped around the wrist and forearm, where a piece of it was structurally different compared to the rest of the armament. Right at the elbow looked to be a set of thrusters. On the back of each hand was a crystal dome that bore unreadable text on its surface. He is able to wield the Cielo Fiamma but cannot activate its famous combat ability. He has not unlocked his aura yet. Glinda guessed. It seems to be since aura consumption is the only way to summon the flames of Cielo Fiamma. Ozpin answered. The manifestation of his soul is his weapon. It is the flame itself. Lupa has explained this already. Fiamma Primo's weapons only worked because it was linked to his aura. Fiamma Iridescente, Pulire Tutto. Ozpin recited. Iridescent flame, cleanse all. Glinda was confused about the random phrase. The activation code of Cielo Fiamma. He has half of the weapon's potential awakened. All he needs is his aura to release its full power. If what she said is true and that Naruto is a direct descendant of the first leader of the White Fang, then his aura would be uncannily similar. Famous huntsman families are known to have a specific aura, Naruto would be no different. With the way the White Fang previously handled succession, Naruto would be the one currently at the helm. In the event that the current White Fang finds out there is one true heir to the seat of leadership in their organization, they will stop at nothing to kill him at his weakest. They will stop at nothing to prevent a peaceful coexistence. They will stop at nothing to extinguish the flames that united a people. Chapter 1. Sweep the halls of Beacon. It had been a week after the interview. And over the duration of it, Naruto explored the campus as if it were a maze. Certainly should be since the north, south, east and west wings of the campus are mini labyrinths of classrooms, stairwells, amphitheaters and arenas. Makes sense to have many of the last items since this place is a school for monster slaying and crime fighting. His favorite spot was any rooftop that he could get onto to watch the city of Vale. Being placed on top of a rather tall cliffside, Beacon Academy easily stood above the nearby city. The added height of the various building added to the angle he could see the city in. Currently he saw the view of the city inside a viewing platform underneath the airship he was on. The aerial view captured Vale's placid appearance. The lack of anything akin to a skyscraper kept the city from looking chaotic in a sense. True, there were many spires that were a part of a rooftop. The architecture had gone way back in the times of the Warring Kingdoms. Not that Naruto truly knew of the history of Remnant or Vale itself. All he thought was how pretty it was to see the city in this kind of view. That and he thought how awesome it would be to fly on his own will. How he'd like to feel the air caressing his face as he took in the sights from the new vantage point up above. To be one with the sky. Oh, how he yearned the freedom to accomplish that childish ambition. His face crept up into a smile as his innocent thought roamed his mind. Onward, his mind recollected a saying Granny Lupa told him as a child. Right when you feel like you will die is when you will be at your strongest. Your flame will burn at its brightest before it extinguishes. He stared at his right hand, where a silver ring-like accessory with the image of a flame encompassed a blue crystal. An X was over the crystal and bore the word Famiglia or family on it on one of the lines. The ring was extended from the base of the middle finger to the first joint. At the tapered end of the ring, a chain connected a smaller ring fashioned onto his pinky. This was its unawakened form. He had to recite the chant Granny told him to activate it into its gauntlet form. That much he got, but anything further than that, he could not get it to work. Granny Lupa said this thing would spout a bunch of fire once its full potential is needed. When will I need to release its flames? He wondered lowly. At the moment, they were just fancy boxing gloves to him. The LRG. A voice grunted beside him. Naruto stared at the source of the voice, a young man with unkempt straight blonde hair. His attire could be described as a squire who lacked the proper armor coverage on his sides, legs, arms and head. The white breastplate would be easily torn to shreds by a grim that got a good hit in. In fact, the young man didn't fit the bill as a huntsman in Naruto's eyes. Huntsmen and huntresses were respectable, noble, and carried a powerful air around them. This guy just felt disappointing. The little girl in the red cloak, who's being smothered by an older blonde, had a more powerful quality in her than this wimpy guy next to him. But if the headmaster allowed it, he shouldn't question it. In fact, he should question the guy's status. Yo, you alright? The guy next to him reeled in his discomfort to dissuade Naruto from helping. I'm fine. The guy weakly answered. Motion sickness. A nod. Figures. Naruto shuffled around his back pocket and handed the guy a barf bag. I don't need you making more work for me before the school year has started. The motion-sick young man gladly took the bag and unloaded his breakfast inside it. It kept going for a little more than half a minute before the guy finished. Naruto quickly grabbed the bag, sealed it, and chucked it into the trash. Next he handed the newly relieved student with a mint-flavored gum. "Thanks." "No prob. You say work." The guy restated. "You're not a student." "Well, not even a name first." Classy Naruto sassed. The other blonde cringed at his words. The guy laughed it off unconvincingly. "Sorry. My name's John Ark. Yours?" He put out a hand to shake. "Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto replied just as he shook John's hand. The two let go, and Naruto replied to John's earlier question. "And yes, I'm not a student. Some people aren't that lucky to have the money to pay all 4 years of it. And some people aren't that skilled to even get in here. Personally, I'm here as a janitor because I need the money. I don't have the skills to get in this place as a student." Though John was a bit stunned by the amount of information just shot back at him. "That's stupid." "I know." Naruto interrupted. "I mean, I'm going to one of the fanciest schools for combat and I'm going there as a janitor." "If you say it like that, it does sound strange." John remarked. "I say you should be proud to step foot on that academy." Naruto scoffed. Big talk coming from a guy who can't hold his breakfast before even stepping on Beacon's walkway. John recoiled at the blunt blow to his ego. The sudden reaction got Naruto to snicker a little. "Hey, at least no one saw it, right? No one can call you Vomit Boy." "I sure hope not." Naruto placed a reassuring hand on John's hunched shoulders. "You'll be fine," he said. "If you got into Beacon, then that means you've got to be awesome at fighting." I am." John stuttered. "And nothing to worry about over here. My sword and shield skills will make me famous one day. Just you wait and see." Naruto sighed lowly. John couldn't be any more of a liar than he is right now. John's poker face needed work. He had so many tells just from that one reply alone. Stiffening body, stuttering, frenzied eye movement, cracked voice, etc. Not that he'd tell him. John himself would eventually pay for his lie. Yeah, Naruto waved it off. "Go practice your lady killer suave on some of the girls here. It would be a great time waster for you." John looked at the various femme fatales aboard the observation deck and gulped. Their weapons looked really deadly. "Nah, I can do that at a later time." Naruto crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow. How could he not want to ask out any of the girls here? They were gorgeous. They were simply amazing. It's as if they were those Amazons Granny Lupa told him of as a toddler. This guy, he cut himself off. "And suit yourself. With the way you're starting off, your love life is going to be frustrating to look at." "Eh? Nothing." Their airship had finally landed and soon, Naruto was out of there. He headed for the main walkway that led to the academy's plaza. While not exactly in a hurry, he was trying to get away from the eventual mob of freshmen. Unfortunately, he miscalculated how eager the new students were and was hounded from all directions as one by one, students rushed deeper into the campus. A body crashed directly behind him. It was quite soft. His cheeks flared red when he realized what it was. He turned around and faced himself with that blonde in the observation deck. She was quite a looker. She was a bit shorter than him, who was an even 6 feet tall. She wears a tan vest with gold piping over a yellow low-cut crop top with a black crest that resembles a burning heart. Her upper body is quite filled out and Naruto could not help but take a rather quick glance at the girl's cleavage. White Knight he may have been taught as a kid, but he's still a hormonal teen. Naruto recollected himself and mused if the burning heart was her emblem. So far he saw an image that represented a different person. Why were there individual emblems? Some sort of extra identification perhaps. Naruto had no idea except for the nice addition it adds to clothing or weapons. The vest has puffy cap sleeves with black cuffs. On the sides of the cuffs, there are 2 small golden buttons. She wears a brown belt with a buckle, a pouch, and a small banner-like object. The same burning heart crest appears on this banner, except golden in color. She wears black shorts under her belt, which resembles a pleated skirt in the back. Her midriff is quite distracting as it shows her generous hips. Over the short shorts but under the belt is a wide asymmetrical back skirt. On her neck was an orange infinity scarf. Naruto approved of the color. Orange is an awesome color. She wears brown knee-high platform boots that appear to be made of leather, with orange socks of different lengths. Her left leg also has a gray bandana-like object wrapped around the top of her boot. She wears fingerless black gloves underneath her weapons, which resemble 2 yellow mechanized gauntlets with a black design. By the way, this happened within the span of 3 seconds. The girl had yet to apologize, not that Naruto would notice it, since he was admiring her form in a normal, non-perverted way. "My bad." She apologized informally. "I followed the crowd to get away from my little sis for a bit. Didn't think I'd run directly into someone." Her lilac eyes shone. Naruto shivered a little. It almost felt nostalgic to see that eye color. "It's no problem." he said with a flashy smile. He quickly turned around and headed off in another direction entirely. You should hurry to the amphitheater. The assembly will start shortly. Yang stood there dumbfounded. Her mind was more focused on the guy who was in her honest opinion as the perfect catch ever. Blonde locks of untamed madness that lead to a chiseled face, and nice eyes of baby blue eyes, and cool and cute marks on his cheeks. That and a sculpted torso underneath that loose black tank top. Yang may have not seen much, she was pretty sure that the guy's pecs could sharpen the dullest knife. Finally, that is a mighty and firm one you got, she purred sweetly while staring at Naruto's retreating butt. I'll see you soon, lady killer. Let it be known that Yang Xiaolong never took a passing pretty face too seriously. Never. Naruto somehow did the opposite. No doubt he doesn't even know what the girl thought of him. Meh. Not like it will bite him in the ass sooner or later. Seconds later, Naruto realized he walked in a circle and managed to get near the landing area of the airship he rode on. Hey. How did I get here? What are you doing? Do you have any idea of the damage you could have caused? Well, that did not sound good. Naruto looked for the irritated girl and found himself staring at a fallen girl, the one in the red cloak from earlier, and another girl in white. The girl in white wears an extremely pale blue bolero jacket over a similarly colored thigh-length dress that ends in a combat skirt with a piece of black lace, making up the neckline of the dress. The inside of the bolero is red and the sleeves turn blue as they get closer to her wrists. The back of the bolero displays an emblem which bears a resemblance to a snowflake. Her hair is in an asymmetrical ponytail off to the right and had a little tiara over the ponytail. Her other accessories are a pair of rectangular earrings and a silver necklace. On her left was a rapier tied to her waist. The other girl has her gigantic hooded red cloak. Primarily in a black attire, the girl also wears a black blouse with a corset on her waist and tightened by red laces on the corset. On her waist is a gray belt that had the image of a silver rose to her right and an ammo pouch even further to the right. She wears a black combat skirt trimmed with a bright red color. Her black stockings has a shade of skin color on it since it was probably the only layer she has on her legs, aside from the obvious one between them. Panties. Her black combat boots has a red trim up top, red laces and soles to finish off the color scheme. Naruto realized something was there a color scheme going on around here. Almost every single person he had seen so far stayed true to mostly one color and a few others to keep it different. Just what has the world come to where a person's appearance is defined by the color scheme one wears? Aside from the mental dilemma, the girl in white snatched a briefcase handed over by the one in red and inspected its contents. This is dust, mined and purified from the Shni quarry. The girl in red failed to say anything in time. What are you, brain dead? The girl in white grabbed a vial of red dust and slammed the case shut. Particles of blue and red stirred in the air as the rude teen shook her vial. Dust. Fire, water, lightning, energy. Are you even listening to me? Not really. Naruto could clearly see that the younger girl had more important things occupying her time. Great, another person about to make my job harder than what it's supposed to be. Naruto dashed in and turned the girl in red the opposite way just in time to sneeze away from the dust. Made it. He thought happily. Hey, princess. What gives? You can't just start yelling at people without asking for their side of the story. And who are you to ask so rudely? Naruto Uzumaki, a janitor. Personally, I don't want to start off my first day on the job cleaning up your mess, and I highly doubt you want to start off your year being reported vandalizing school property with an explosive material. If you don't seal that vial of dust right now, it's likely that one of us will explode literally or whatever that other word is. Naruto replied angrily. The girl stared all around her and saw the floating particles around them. Embarrassed by her actions, she quickly collected her belongings and went deeper into campus. Feh. Not even an apology for being rude. Hey, Red. He tapped the remaining girl's shoulder. You good? Huh? Oh yeah. The girl turned around. Thanks. My name is Ruby Rose. She greeted. Naruto. Naruto introduced himself. Now I don't want to be rude, but you gotta go to the amphitheater down the walkway past the doors in front of you. The assembly is about to start and he checked the time on the nearby clock post. Crap, I'm late. Naruto dashed off in another direction completely opposite of the campus entrance and left a confused Ruby by herself. The sun had set and Naruto diligently finished his job sweeping the cafeteria. The large room took him a good 3 hours to sweep, another hour to wipe off tables, 2 to pick up trash and clean leftover kitchenwares. Not to say that he was the only janitor around, but it seemed like he did more work. The others were simply cleaning their designated area, while Naruto himself wandered to another spot to clean. To say it was productive was a sore understatement. He finished the connecting hallways, cleaned restrooms, locker rooms, the plaza, and some few more locations that he could not care to mention because he was tired. He left the polishing to the automatons that roam at night to pick off any unseen specks of trash. He placed his sweeper, bucket, and various cleaning tools off in one of the many janitor closets on campus. He walked on and on, hoping to reach his room without his legs buckling from the day of work. He went from the west wing to the east, a 15-minute walk from the previous building to his room in the east wing. He entered the rather large building and walked up one of the many staircases to reach his room. A skylight shone one of the moons down on his body. The night sky looked so peaceful again he stopped to bask in moon's rays. A smile lit his face. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad to try one more time. He was on the 3rd floor. There's a nearby door to access the balcony. Though he needed to be stealthy since the freshmen were sleeping nearby behind the glass before the balcony he planned to use. Lake Belladonna's golden eyes snapped open when she heard a nearby door squeak. Silently, she rose up to find out the source of the noise. She used her frontis ears to listen closely. Footsteps on the balcony. Blake tiptoed her way to the balcony to find out who disrupted her sleep. When she got there, she saw a blonde sit on the stone rail. The blonde said something that she recognized like any veteran White Fang member did. "Fiamma reticente, pulier tutto." The blonde's hands lit up like fire. The intense light forced her to close her eyes to not damage them. Moments later, the flames died out to show a red gauntlet that she was very familiar with since she idolized the first leader of the White Fang. "Cielo Fiamma," Blake muttered in surprise. "It's not possible, why does it still exist?" Chapter 2. A simple day. Osborne had replayed a recording of last night. He saw Naruto attempting to release the flames out of Cielo Fiamma by brute force, which amounted to nothing but failure. Naruto needed his aura, but one cannot unlock it without large amounts of distress or someone unlocking it for him. As much as he wanted to help, he could not interfere. If he did, it would send the message that Osborne had been spying on his new employee. Adan Lupa did say that she taught Naruto to be wary of those who know the identity of Cielo Fiamma. The headmaster sighed. It was slightly infuriating to keep secrets this important to the young man. The boy had a right to know his own heritage, his own family, but that can't be done. Not until Naruto was strong enough. Osborne was only a headmaster, nothing more. The more he interfered, the faster the secret unfolds. Osborne leaned back on his chair and stared to the ceiling. "Minato, guide your son to the right path." Lake Belladonna could not get the image of what happened last night out of her head. A young man, a human, could wield Cielo Fiamma. Impossible. It broke all logic. Cielo Fiamma was linked to Fiamma Primo's aura. Therefore only people of his blood can wield it. Does that mean that boy is related to Primo? Plausible, but she had never heard of a half-frontis that had no visible characteristic of an animal. From her angle, she could not see anything else other than the untamed hair he had. Could it be his hair? It almost looks like a lion's, Blake wondered. Male, lion frontis, could have pronounced canines, retractable claws, or a mane. She scratched the last one out. Compared to other lion frontis, the young man she saw last night had shorter hair than most. The same can be said of Primo, she thought begrudgingly. Despite being in love with books, Blake did not fancy mysteries. So far, that blonde enigma last night has been a consistent mystery full of plausible truth or contradictions. It frustrated her. She walked to the initiation location, a cliffside that faced a wide forest, while still recollecting facts. Minato Fiamma, or Fiamma II, was last to have wielded Cielo Fiamma. But in the years before his assassination and subsequent reformation of the White Fang's methodology, Fiamma II admitted to losing the weapon after being knocked out by alcohol. Blake did not like the implication. Minato Fiamma was known in the White Fang for his inability to hold his drink. He would be a chaotic drunkard. However, in the presence of a woman, he was a Casanova. Blake really hated the implications her mind made on the spot. Had Fiamma II conceived an heir with an unknown woman during the time he lost Cielo Fiamma? It made sense at least. Only a Fiamma could activate Cielo Fiamma, and the new unknown wielder of Cielo Fiamma could activate it. However, its flames were a different story. Blake knew that young man's aura had to be locked since the flames were not spewing out the arm thrusters on his forearm or even coated his palms. Moreover, she could tell his aura was compatible since it felt warm even in its restrained state. "Who are you?" she silently asked, nobody in particular. "For years, you have trained to become warriors." Osborne's voice snapped Blake out of her thoughts. "Today, your abilities will be evaluated in Emerald Forest." "I shouldn't focus on that guy. I came here to Beacon to start fresh. I shouldn't remind myself of the White Fang. I shouldn't remind myself of the lost Fiamma family. I shouldn't." She stopped herself. Cielo Fiamma was Fiamma Primo's, her idol's, weapon. Her family name of Belladonna only survived up to this point because Fiamma Primo saved her grandfather and grandmother from meaningless execution. To forget that was to trample upon her family's word. It was her duty to seek out this young man and get some answers. If that blonde is the Fiamma Terzo, then it would be her duty both as a Belladonna and as a former member of the White Fang to protect him. To the very last breath. To protect every generation of Fiamma was their family's purpose besides aiding him or her in coexistence with humans. These teammates will be with you for the rest of your time here at Beacon. So it is in your best interest to be paired with someone with whom you can work well. The headmaster gave a quick pause. That being said, the first person you make eye contact with upon touching the ground will be your partner for the next 4 years. That seems highly illogical to do, but if you want to drill in the concept of teamwork, be my guest, headmaster. Blake readied herself. First she needed to get past this initiation before she could search for that young man. Naruto groggily woke up. His half-asleep face stared at the ceiling. Another failed attempt. What am I missing? He wondered to himself. He raised his right hand and inspected the ring once more. Cielo Fiamma, why won't you release your fire? Am I the wrong guy? As if offended by the question, the rings bound to his fingers tighter. Naruto winced at the action. I'll take that as a no then. He muttered. What am I missing? He asked again in hopes of getting a sign. He waited patiently. Seconds went to minutes. Nothing happened. Just when he was about to give up, his mind ached. He closed his eyes. The black void. However, in the middle of it all, a tiny flickering flame. Naruto kind of understood it. Though he couldn't put it into words. He massaged his head. I'm the one that has to supply the flame, huh? No confirmation was given. This sucks. How am I going to get you to work? An alarm beeped. Naruto's eyes widened. Wait a sec, was that all a dream? What the heck kind of dream makes you dream about being awake? Naruto's eyes locked in on the time shown in the clock. 9 a.m. He bolted out of bed quick. Not again. He rushed himself into his personal bathroom and took a 3-minute shower. A quick brush of his hair, some deodorant and lotion, and he was ready to put on his dark blue jumpsuit uniform of a custodian of Beacon. The set of rusty brown eyes narrowed at a rushing blonde headed for his position. You're late again, Uzumaki. A tan man with slick back white hair said. Naruto skidded to a halt and panted for a few moments. The older man crossed his arms. I'm beginning to doubt that you actually want this job. You're more akin to a turtle than what your little tattoos on your cheek say otherwise. I don't see why I can't get you kicked out of this job for your sloppy attendance so far. Murmurs were being passed off from the other custodians in the room. It slightly unnerved Naruto. Naruto repeatedly bowed since he was afraid to lose his job just after he got it. I'm really sorry, boss. I've no need for excuses. The man cut off harshly before he turned around. I want to see you work, not squeak like a mouse. The blunt words got to Naruto, who cleared up his mind. The younger man understood that excuses should not be made. To this man, action spoke louder than words. He would show it by cleaning far more efficiently than yesterday. Let's go, newbie. Do you have enough cleaning solution stocked up? Yes, sir. Naruto answered confidently. An hour or two later, Naruto finished sweeping the hardwood floor of the ballroom the freshmen slept in last night. He was proud of his work. He made that floor reflect his face on its surface. He needed to keep this kind of quality cleaning. Granny Lupa's orphanage depended on his help along with the other older orphans who planned to help out as well. Now to dust off the walls and polish those windows. A growl from his stomach protested the idea. Right after I get some ramen. He exited the room quickly to satisfy his stomach's rumbling. He pushed the door open and felt it slam against something that grunted in pain. Naruto looked at who might be the unfortunate victim and was terrified of who it was. His janitorial boss. Uzumaki. Ah. My bad, boss. Naruto apologized quickly. The value of the apology waned when his stomach growled again. The older man walked past him. If you were hungry, you should have just said so. Follow me. I'm taking a lunch break too. The two headed off into the building's cafeteria hall on the first floor. Naruto was stunned by the volume of students in the large room. Why are there so many people? Naruto asked. It's initiation day. The man answered simply before fully explaining the meaning of today. Second, third, and fourth years are exempted from class so that they can watch the new blood. Naruto stared at the tan janitor with unfocused eyes. The older janitor massaged his temple. Osban did say Naruto lacked proper education. The others have a free day so that they can look at the newly forming teams. The gears in Naruto's head finally worked. Oh. That's cool. Does that mean? No, we can't watch them. Naruto slouched forward. He was disappointed, but it made sense for other staff to be doing their jobs rather than slack off on a day like this. The older janitor could see the disappointment in Naruto's eyes and aimed to remedy that by saying the condition. Unless you're on break. Naruto's mood instantly whipped toward the opposite end of the scale. He whooped for joy. He may not be a good fighter, but he acknowledged those stronger than him, like the huntsmen and huntresses stationed around the world. They were accomplished because they were among the best of the best and fought tooth and nail to get their position. Kinda like the storybook heroes Granny Lupa talked about before he went to bed. Aside from repaying her, at some point, he did want to become a huntsman. He wanted to help people just like Granny Lupa did for him and the others who at one point lived or still lives under her care. He reasoned with himself that doing this job would help the young ones. He shouldn't aim to kill himself off earlier than it should. They found a free table, and Naruto quickly sat there to claim it. Plus with his seat, he could watch the recording from far away without any loss in definition. "I'll get us food," the older janitor announced. "What would you like?" "Mizo ramen, sir." The man left Naruto alone to watch the initiation rite where the young man sat. The blonde stared at the faraway screen. That girl in red, Ruby, was in a firing squad along with that crabby princess, that golden bombshell, and a mysterious beauty in black. They were firing off round after round in an attempt to shoot down a gigantic black raven, and nevermore if Granny Lupa's lessons were correct. The giant bird never faltered and rammed its right wing on the structure the girls were on. Naruto was alarmed. Would they die falling to their deaths? His fears were proven wrong as each girl easily made it to stable ground up above a similarly made structure. The young man's fingers twitched. His body had the urge to do something about the situation. But what could he do? He sucked compared to the girls he was watching. Plus, AzureFlameXIIIGod did not want to show its true potential. Naruto clutched his chest. Why does it feel like I'm missing out on something awesome? He wondered to himself before he shook the thought. I shouldn't be thinking of fighting. I wouldn't be much help at all. Just then, a bowl of ramen was placed in front of him. "Ah. Thanks, boss." The man sat down and ate his plate of curry. "You're welcome." The two silently ate their food while spectating the initiation. Naruto spoke up when he saw something strange. "Boss. Why did that guy in green not die yet?" he asked. "I mean a throw like that to a pillar should kill a person, right? In normal circumstances, yes. With a hit like that, normal people are supposed to die." The man agreed. However, as a huntsman or huntress, they have access to their aura, the manifestation of their souls to act as a barrier to protect them from major damage. So it's like an active force field. Yup. But rather than defense, it can also be used for offense. The man stated as a matter of fact. Some people who have trained their aura can project it outwards as extra force for their attack. Some even compact their aura into one attack to make their next attack longer, sharper, stronger, and so on. Naruto leaned forward, obviously interested in the topic. The most terrifying example of aura used for offense was one man around 80 years ago who used his aura to burn an army. My grandfather said that the flames were far more intense than regular ones. Despite looking like normal flames, anyone near it felt the heat melt their armors and weapons. Whoa. That guy sounds pretty strong. He was. He's also the one who made the white fang in the first place. The man answered. That guy was a faunus. Naruto exclaimed in surprise. That's so cool. The man agreed. That man united the faunus under the banner of the white fang, but it was his flames that attracted the faunus to him. Despite the destructive potential of his aura, it's been said that his was welcoming, warm, and gave off the feeling of family. It felt harmonious, or so my grandfather said. Naruto glanced at his right hand. Naruto calmed himself down. The story felt familiar, but he couldn't place a finger on where he heard it from. But he had a lead now on how to get AzureFlameXIIIGod's flames to come out. Can you tell me how to activate my aura? The man raised an eyebrow. I'm sorry, that's impossible for me. I don't even have mine unlocked. You'll need to see a proper huntsman or huntress to unlock it for you. Either that or be under a lot of stress to the point you feel like you're about to die or really are about to die, or so the books say. I'm not really sure anymore. You might need to go to the library to confirm the information. Naruto was shocked to hear the words come from someone else. Granny was right. He now had the right idea to release AzureFlameXIIIGod's true potential. Pumped up by the discovery, Naruto quickly ate his food. Once clean, he stood up and thanked his superior for the food. He took off, but not without stopping to look at the progress of the initiation. He saw Ruby drag the Nevermore up a cliff before she decapitated the Grimm's head cleanly off its body. Hey, good for you, Ruby. He rushed to the ballroom to finish his job. First clean those windows and walls, then to the library to pick up a book on aura for dummies. The group stepped into an orphanage. They were wearing the same uniforms. They each wore a white vest with two buttons holding it together. Underneath was a black top with a hood. On their faces, a metal mask resembling Grimm. White Fang. They were here for one person. That person was on television, and his weapons looked eerily similar to Primo's and Secondo's. They had to confirm their suspicion. The humans they interrogated pointed out that the boy they were looking for had been a part of this orphanage for his whole life. So here they were, busting down the door. The leader of the group parted his subordinates. He was bulkier than them, but overall appearance looked the same. His mask was far more sinister, however. Instead of a half mask, this one was a full one with two eye slits with red streaks to add to the design of the mask. It looked like a golem's face. "Lupa," he shouted. "Come out, you traitor." The peaceful atmosphere of the orphanage changed. An elderly woman in a black blouse and long skirt with a wide apron over it entered the hallway. She had extensively gray hair that was pulled back into a ponytail of uncontrollable shaggy hair resembling a wolf's. Her sharp burgundy eyes narrowed at the White Fang members. Her face was lightly wrinkled, betraying her true age of 82. That and her posture was perfect. Not a slouch or signs of muscle degradation because of old age. She was fit for an old lady. "Kane, is that you? Where is Fiamma Terzo?" Kane demanded. "Really? Not even going to properly greet your own flesh and blood grandmother?" Lupa asked with mock hurt. "Where is Fiamma Terzo?" he repeated in a snarl. "The Fiamma line is gone," Lupa answered. "Your group saw to its demise. The relatives, both distant and close, were wiped out on that night. You didn't leave any Fiamma alive. You didn't even spare the newborns." Kane stomped his foot. "I'm not here for a lesson on morality. Where is he? The Fiamma family is gone. You're catching a phantom," Lupa lied. "Stop toying with me," Kane roared. "What makes you think I am?" Lupa asked sincerely. "We raided the prison for answers," Kane said. "Those gang members agreed on one thing they heard from the blonde boy that beat them up. Do you know that they said? Indulge my curiosity. Fiamma reticente, pulier tutto." Chapter 3. A simple disagreement. Lupa did not say a thing. She knew that if she did, then the frustrating feeling in her heart would just come out. Either way, the lack of response or denial meant a fight. She was ready for it. Kane took the silence as a yes. "So have I struck a nerve, grandmother?" Underneath the mask, his teeth bared into a murderous smile. "Did I call out your bluff? Feels frustrating, right? All those years of wasted hiding and now we'll kill the last Fiamma in cold blood." The younger Wolf Franus cackled. "Oh, how fun it will be to see his distraught face when he hears about how you lied to him about his family." Lupa scratched her head. "Eh?" It was Kane's turn to be confused. "What? You mean to tell me that you told him he has no family?" "Look where you barged into, Kane," Lupa sassed. "An orphanage. If that doesn't scream you have no parents, then I don't know what will." Lupa had a point. This was an orphanage. When she was given the task to look after Naruto, she built this orphanage for the sole purpose of hiding Naruto. I mean, no one looks for a missing heir to a famous organization in an orphanage. If you want to fight, just say so. It's either that or you tell me something that will piss me off." Kane scoffed. He may as well threaten his grandmother's credibility then. No doubt being the Fiamma Terzo's caretaker made her soft. "I'll make you the biggest liar of them all. I'll say to him that you raised him up to only destroy him in both mind and body," Kane declared boldly. "I will make him hate you, curse your name right before he dies." As he finished his sentence, he felt something hit his chin. The force of the hit sent the leader of the group backwards. "There we go." Lupa snarled happily. She lowered her left fist and moved her neck from side to side. Popping sounds in both the neck and knuckles sounded like imminent death in the silent hallway. "Ruin my character. That's how you piss me off." Kane recovered and swept his left leg on the floor. Lupa raised a foot and stomped on the oncoming limb. Despite Aura being able to shield most of the damage, the stomp caused some discomfort on Kane's ankle. Aura protects a person from external damage. What happens when the damage is from the inside? Lupa's other foot swung down on Kane's leg and aimed for the knee. Once more, the damage was diminished from its true power due to Aura. However, the force strained the calf muscles of Kane's leg. She raised a leg again. Two of Kane's goons swung at her with their batons. Lupa blocked them with her forearms. She took a mighty step forward, which landed on Kane's crotch. Muffled screams of pain echoed out of the mask while Lupa countered the goons with a mean left and right straight punch. The sound it made were akin to gunshots that shook the hallway. The poor goons were sent out of the orphanage. They didn't stand back up. Lupa stood confidently as she stared down the rest of Kane's group. The members of the White Fang were uneasy. This old lady had not lost her skill in battle. Her strength was still there. They were still facing the famed lunatic Lupa. "We're warning you, Lupa. Give us the boy and all will be over with," one of the goons said with some confidence. It was a newbie who hadn't heard of the old White Fang's generals. Figures he'd get cocky. "Oh? Are you sure you have the right to say that to my face when I have your leader literally by the?" Lupa raised her leg. Balls. Her steel-toed shoe fell on the same spot once more. The pain was lessened by Aura, but it did not protect him from the sensory overload caused by the stomp. The men winced. Kane may have some trouble making a child with his wife now. But on to more important matters. The rest of the White Fang charged at Lupa. One swept at her feet and forced her to move back. Another jumped above the initial attacker and slashed at the woman, who dodged it by a hair's breadth. Quickly, she grabbed the swordsman's sword hand and used her other hand to punch the guy in the face. When the hit landed, Lupa pulled on the hand with enough force to dislocate the man's shoulder. She tossed the man off to the rest of his charging friends and followed with her arms outstretched and low to the ground. The others caught their injured ally. Unfortunately, it was only a second later that their legs were pulled from underneath them. Lupa tossed them up only to throw them down into the ground. She stepped on their shoulder and sent them into unconsciousness with a synchronized left and right punch to their faces. An axe kick was sent her way. She easily evaded and turned around to slam the last lackey's face into the ground. As her final act of defiance, she repeatedly stomped on the man's head until it was visibly inside the man-made hole. The old hag Kane groaned out. "You're not taking us seriously at all. You know this isn't even my style of fighting. It's the Fiamma-Terzos." Kane's eyes widened. Apparently whenever he fought a criminal with an aura, he just thought that person was just difficult to take down. So he made a style comprised of arm, leg, back, neck and all sort of limb-breaking madness with the intent to do harm internally. Aura doesn't really protect anyone from internal harm, does it? Certainly helps deal with pesky aura users, don't you think? The grandson did not answer. "This is a small show of what he could do to you even without his flames," Lupa said nonchalantly. "I hope you've got better men or they'll just be fodder to him." Finished with her demonstration, she returned back inside her orphanage to finish cooking lunch for her children. She closed the door silently and left the defeated White Fang members to the police. "Granny?" A voice asked from one of the doors in the hallway. "What is it, Rom?" A tiny head peeked out into the hallway. His red burgundy hair overshadowed his eyes. "Who were those mean people?" Lupa walked next to him and went down on her knees to see at eye level. The little boy wore a black loose shirt that covered the length of his body. His khaki shorts were hidden under the large top. They were people trying to look for Big Brother Naruto. They wanted to hurt him. "Why would they want to hurt Big Brother?" Rom asked. "Big Brother is awesome," he exclaimed in his meek voice. "I'll explain it to you when you're older," Lupa answered with a reassuring pat on Rom's head. "If any person asks for your big brother, call me, okay?" "Okay. Where's your brother, Rem?" "He was watching you fight them from upstairs." "Say hello to my little friend." "Ah. Damn kid, don't piss on me." "Don't listen to him, Remus. Keep doing it." Another child shouted above a sudden chorus of childish cheers. "That's what you get for messing with Granny Lupa," Rem shouted. "I want to join too. I'm game for this." Naruto was in the library diligently reading a book about aura and its various applications. Since it was the for dummies version, he got the idea, but not without it taking some time. He read vocally, which angered some people there. It's not his fault, he needed a good grasp on the idea by reading it aloud with some definite pronunciation errors. What he read was just as true as his boss and Granny Lupa said. All he needed was to unlock his aura and he could use Cielo Fiamma's true power. Yet despite finding the answer he needed, he continued further. Application wasn't his strong suit. Unfamiliar words started popping out. Word after word swam on by. He had to consult the dictionary more times than it was supposed to be needed and it nearly caused his mind to blow. His 4th grade reading level couldn't keep up with this. The young man placed his head on the table to soothe the pain of cramming so much ideas in one sitting. "Oh. Something wrong, Mr. Uzumaki?" The young man sat up straight to see who called out to him. He was greeted by the indifferent bespectacled face of Glinda Goodwitch. "You look like you have a mild headache. Will a simple painkiller work?" "Ms. Goodwitch?" Naruto exclaimed in surprise. "Aye." Glinda looked confused by the reaction. Now what might be the matter? Naruto calmed himself down. "No, it's nothing. What brings you here?" "I'm here to pass the time by reading a book," the huntress replied. "Is it safe to assume you're doing the same?" Naruto eagerly nodded. "I see, and you're reading about." The woman glanced at the title of the book and found it amusing to see the boy completely go against his words a week ago. "You're reading about aura. Why would a custodian want to read about something like that?" "It's just research," Naruto said in a panic. "That's all there is. It made me curious when one of the freshmen was tossed straight into a pillar and didn't die on impact." Glinda appropriated herself into a moment of pondering. She agreed that to a normal civilian, a circumstance like that would rouse curiosity from one who had never heard of aura in general. Glinda took a seat on the other side of the table in front of Naruto. She sat cordially and asked the young man, "And what have you learned, if I may ask?" "Aura is locked normally." Naruto started off. "It needs to be unlocked by a person with an unlocked and controlled aura or must be faced by a deadly event. The second one pushes a person's limits out in one last burst of energy that affects the soul." Naruto's expression tensed. "In both cases, the physical man manifests." "Manifestation. Manifestation of the soul is pushed outwards into the real world." Naruto finished the sentence but did not stop there. "Aura is mainly used for defense and healing. They act like a second skin that lessens the power of an attack, or if more aura is applied, completely stop the attack. Glinda was surprised by Naruto's ability to understand that from just reading it. Maybe the boy in front of her is a diamond in the rough. You understood all that from reading it once. Glinda remarked with a little awe in her voice. It helped that my boss told me similar info. Naruto admitted while scratching his head. That in the book really is made for dummies like me. Until it lied and gave me these really big words that just hurt my head. Naruto cradled his cranium as he recalled the frightening words that pained his brain. Glinda smiled. It was nice to have a one-on-one chat with someone with a drive to learn. Well, it's good to see that you're taking advantage of Ozpin's offer. She said to him. Have you been researching anything else? Naruto stiffened. Could this be his chance? Could he ask this woman to unlock his aura? Will he be able to find out the extent of AzureFlameXIIIGod's power? All these questions haunted his mind. No. He thought. I shouldn't take advantage of her. I'll find a new way to unlock my aura. But could he share a piece of truth to the woman? The young man refused again. Naruto did not see or feel any ulterior motive from her, but he was wary. Granny Lupa told him to always be careful when it came to talking about AzureFlameXIIIGod. The weapon was infamous in its own right. Though he didn't know what it was infamous for, casually talking about it would breed more consequences than good. He finally answered with, not really. I've been reading the dictionary and a grammar book just so I can have a proper chat with someone really smart. I say you're well on your way when it comes to conversation. Glinda uncharacteristically praised. Naruto smiled at the acknowledgement of his brain. Though your pronunciation and reading skills might need some improvements. In due time, you will catch up. She stood up and was ready to leave. If you need anything, you can always ask me for help and I will try to aid you in any way possible. Naruto looked down. Is it really okay? I'm not a student of this place. Would you really go out of your way like that? You've displayed some surprising advances to me today. Given the right topic, you have a drive to learn. I see you as a student, Mr. Uzumaki. Naruto gave a small smile. I will continue seeing you as a student as long as you persist on learning, understood? Yes ma'am. Naruto answered eagerly. Good. Now I do believe it's dinner time. Don't you have work over at the cafeteria? Naruto looked at the clock. Oh, not again. I'll return the book for you. Glinda said. Now go. You're late, aren't you? Thank you, Ms. Goodwitch. Naruto bolted out of the room to quickly do his duty. Glinda took the book Naruto read and returned it to its shelf. Moments later, her scroll vibrated. She took it out and was ready to answer whoever called her. It was Ozpin. Yes? She asked. Didn't think you had it in you to be so supportive or motherly for that matter. Ozpin, the woman growled out the headmaster's name. I'm just stating observation. The man promptly ended the call to not incite even more of Glinda's wrath. Naruto was stationed in the cafeteria the freshman occupied. He was busy mopping up a trail of vomit from the floor. He had a feeling that it had to be John who did this, but it was a bit mean to target him instantly. Ultimately, he didn't ask who caused this. He wasn't being paid to be an investigator. He's here to clean. Oh. Uzumaki, how did your little research spree go? The boy turned around but did not stop mopping. Well, I guess. Turns out you were right on the money, boss. He said happily. Almost word for word, your explanation hit the main points of what I read. The older janitor smiled and left the boy to continue his work. He pulled his mop back to clean the cleaning tool and restart anew. Yang sighed. She searched the cafeteria for that hunk she saw yesterday, but he wasn't here. Could he be an upperclassman? She thought to herself. Where is he? She internally whined. He was her Adonis. Part wild, part mannered and kind, and all around hot eye. She shivered at the thought of making out with such a guy. Yang wanted him badly. Which is totally unnatural, to which Yang agrees. Something about him just pulled her in. She was attracted to him physically, that she can admit, but she hardly knew the guy and she wants to make out with him. There's more to that guy. There just has to be. Yang Xiaolong does not easily fall in love. Yang? You okay? Ruby asked her elder sister. Oh, I'm alright, Rubes. Yang answered normally. Ruby crossed her arms, aware of Yang's inner turmoil. Did you find another guy to hound on? Like Smithy Sauce. Hey, I do not harass guys I like. And don't call him Smithy Sauce. It's rude to purposefully pronounce his name wrong. Yang retorted back at the younger girl's offensive remark. Ruby waved it off and focused on the main point of this conversation. So you sigh like a damsel instead? The younger sister suggested. No. I did. Yang. Ruby interrupted. You were like this. Hi. Ruby easily emulated Yang's tone of disappointment and somewhat love-struck at the same time. Whoever you're crushing on this time should not be crushed on in the near future. Duck butt Smithy Sauce should be the only victim. Ruby sternly told her elder sister. Blake had to add to that. What do you mean by that? Who is this individual? It was Halloween and Yang and I went to a haunted house. We were on an upper floor that had the tape that said do not cross. We thought it was part of the props, so we didn't listen. Next thing we know, Yang fell through the floor, landed on her crush and crushed his legs. He had a duck's butt for a hairstyle. She added the last part as an afterthought. Weiss narrowed her eyes. What a eerie sequence of events. That had to be staged. Tell that to the guy that won't accept Yang's apology. He's still mad that he can't get out of a wheelchair. It's been more than 7 years now. Rubes? Yang yelled indignantly. I thought I told you to not tell anyone else about that. She grabbed her little sister into a headlock as she proceeded to noogie her little sister's head, thus messing up her hair. Yang. Stoop that. Naruto heard a shriek come from across the room. Naruto looked for the source and saw a fighting Ruby in the grasp of that bombshell of a woman. It was nice to see the girl in red doing well. It made his day to see someone's day was eventful. He was done with his work and placed his mop on the mobile bucket of vomit and cleaning solution. He placed a wet floor sign on the site and happily walked away with the idea that nothing could go wrong today. How wrong he was. He felt something step on his bucket before it thrashed wildly onto one side. The immediate yelp of some poor soul caught his attention. The resulting sound of a splash and a body hitting the ground reached his ears. I hate my luck. 3 people stood up and shouted at him. Hey. Watch it, jumpsuit. Naruto scowled and placed his hands in his pocket. I have a name. I suggest you learn it before you give me nicknames. Naruto had this situation happen to him several times. He was prepared for some fists to fly. Like we care. Said one of them. I'm sorry, but your guy stepped on my stuff. Naruto explained. He's at fault for not looking. He pinned the blame of the guy that swam in vomit and cleaning solution. I couldn't exactly just yank it away fast enough without the vomit spilling out. One of them walked up to him and pulled at his collar while lifting him up. You think you're a hotshot, Sir Mops a lot. No. I'm a janitor. You're a huntsman in training. You're more talented than I am. Naruto casually replied. By the way, I have a question. What? Who told you could touch me? The chorus of screams alerted the first years to an amusing scene. A blonde janitor broke bones of Team CRDL for the simple reason of one of them touching him without his permission. Team rwby was astonished by the violent grapples the janitor did. Each of them recognized him. To R, it was awesome to see her savior from embarrassment kick ass. To W, she was glad that she did not anger the janitor yesterday. To B, he was her target. To Y, her Adonis finally showed. The J, her John, he wondered if Naruto was overly modest or did not truly know his strength. To Ospen and Glinda, they agreed that Naruto needed a proper combat instructor to polish his abilities. Videos were captured, photos memorialized it, and jokes were made throughout the dustnet. The headline of one article. Come to Beacon. Where even our janitors can kick ass. Chapter 4. A simple request. It had been a week since the janitor incident. A whole week of that and the wheels of fate and popularity turned. Beacon Academy was given a ton of requests from foreign students to transfer to the school or other schools asked to have Naruto as their student. Ospen declined without any hesitation. His school was full. He did not need extra students. That and he wanted to keep an eye on Naruto. Speaking of the boy, young Naruto gained a following. Not overly huge as one might expect from sudden popularity, but enough for the boy with low self-esteem. Ospen spied on the boy currently doing a morning jog. Followed by one of his followers. In other words, friends. So why are you following me again, Ruby? Naruto asked as he continued to do his self-established routine of a morning jog to prevent himself from becoming late again. I want to know how you fought like that. Ruby answered with a smile as she jogged at the same pace as Naruto. Her signature red cloak fluttered in the wind despite the apparent change of clothes that were more appropriate for the activity. A green tracksuit. The way you just overrode their aura by doing internal damage was so cool. Some could even say it's youthful. Naruto suddenly shivered and slowed his pace. Ruby looked concerned when the blonde boy grimaced at her words. Don't ever say youthful. Naruto bluntly said. That word somehow strikes a nerve. Okay. Ruby did not question it. But still, how did you do that? You've gotta be strong to do that kind of damage to a person with aura. I'm not strong. Naruto said confidently. Those people were just stubborn enough to not know when to fall to their knees. Ruby hummed. Naruto was overly modest for a skilled fighter. Sure, his style was unrefined, but it did the job and kept a person down for the count a lot longer than normal methods do, since the guy actually dislocates bones to do it. Not even aura can heal something like that almost instantly. Okay, I'll admit that compared to others, you won't last long without aura. Ruby muttered. Naruto did not react to the statement. But I can see you improve if you spar with someone that strong. What's the point? Naruto asked. I'm going to lose. Ruby pouted and tackled the young man. You're with that attitude. Meh. Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Unless you can get someone to spar with me, then I won't do it. If you've seen the people that pass me, they want to avoid me. I don't know why the girl narrowed her eyes and stared at Naruto. Naruto glanced back and shivered when he met Ruby's harsh stare. What? Ruby kept staring. Ruby, seriously, what is going on? He can't be that oblivious that people are scared of him, right? Ruby thought to herself. How about you fight my sister, Yang? Ruby suggested. She's been itching to fight you. Yang. Naruto tested the name out. You mean that PR blonde in your team? Ruby nodded. Naruto remembered Yang. How could he not? She hit it off in all the right places. That fiery golden hair looked amazing on her. It was like she was an empress of flame. Her curves made her look like a dancing flame that moves with the wind. Then he got serious. When did I get poetic for a girl? He wondered. Yep. Ruby chirped. Come on. You should totally do it. And mess up my routine. Naruto asked incredulously. Next time, Ruby. If I have a day off, I'll take that as a yes then. Ruby sprinted to her dorm room and left Naruto in the dust. Wait, Ruby. I didn't say I agreed to it. Naruto yelled. The girl was long gone. A trail of dust in her sprint was all that remained. The young man slouched. This sucks. He muttered. It can't get any worse, can it? I mean, I am going to lose to a golden beauty like that. He scratched his head. Why would Ruby insist that I'm good at fighting? She's gotta be kidding, right? He looked at his scroll for the time. Better get some breakfast. He sprinted to the nearest cafeteria while declaring, Raymond, here I come. A knock on Osborn's door alerted him from his spying. He immediately stopped and answered, come in. Glinda was on the other side of the door and she looked refreshed to say the least. She had more pride in her footsteps than usual. Osborn noted that and mentioned it while he leaned forward onto his desk. You look to be in a buoyant mood. Did you finally get that new crate of dust to experiment with, or are you elated by the Fiamma's progress? It couldn't be anything else, so which is it? It's the latter. Glinda answered. She crossed her arms underneath her bust. You should see his progress, Osborn. Given time, he could unravel more mysteries of aura and its applications in battle or even in a domestic setting. The headmaster was alarmed. He advanced that much in a week. That boy's been researching how different types of elemental property in a person's aura can affect dust of the same element. He's going into theoretical experimentation in such short notice. Apparently the librarian was shocked to see the boy search up almost all lower reading level books on aura. It's as if he's thinking like a hardworking student with a drive. Osborn finished for her. Indeed. Glinda, are you possibly unlocking your maternal instincts? Osborn asked without any tact. Before Glinda could retort, Osborn continued. You've been spending more time with the Fiamma in your one-on-one sessions than paying attention and criticizing your students during class. Glinda had the decency to keep silent at her blunder. She would not make a fool of herself in front of Osborn. Not for a silly matter like this. With all due respect, Naruto has shown more initiative compared to some students in our roster. Glinda spoke out her observation of the freshman class. He's willing to learn despite his difficulties doing so and doesn't accept any obstacle. Am I not in the right to give the boy a chance to improve himself when he needs it the most? Osborn all the while took a sip of his coffee. I understand your glaring support for the boy. It pains me to admit that as a student, Naruto would be among the most gifted this academy has to offer. Osborn agreed with Glinda's statement about some of the students who lack the drive and coasted on by. He would be a wonderful huntsman to train. His budding knowledge that you've told me moments ago is a testament to that. Glinda predicted a but somewhere in the next statement. However, we cannot interfere with his advancement. We can give the occasional hand, but we must not push out of our boundaries. Osborn. I've watched your little tutor session with the boy a week ago. Osborn interrupted. When you asked him if he was researching anything else, he looked conflicted. Now why would that be? The headmaster gave Glinda a chance to answer. When she did not reply in his undetermined time limit, he continued for her. The boy knows he needs to unlock his aura to summon the flames, to utilize the flames together with Cielo Fiamma. He knows that to unlock it, he needs a huntsman or huntress to do it. He doesn't even think about the other option because he runs away from the idea that he's a decent fighter. Osborn paused for a bit to let it sink in. He chose to decline your offer because he wants to find a way to do it himself without being in debt to others. He is already in debt to Lupa, and look at him devoting his future to repaying his caretaker. Are you saying that I should stop helping the boy? Glinda asked with a bit of malice in her voice. You really are becoming maternal. This is the quickest transition I've seen in a woman. Glinda's fists tightened. But I digress. I'm saying to let him reach a wall that he cannot vault over. Osborn told to the woman. You can continue this little routine you have, but you must let him discover his strengths and weaknesses. Once he does, and he trusts us enough to ask for our help, we shall be there to pull him over that wall. If you want him to build trust in us, then you have to interact with him. His low self-esteem can only be undone with support and guidance, which I've been doing for a week with success. Glinda fired back. This boy may be competent in talking to adults, but he lacks that communication convergence with his age group. She slammed on Osborn's desk. Naruto is lacking trust in them because of his occupation. And you think making him your apprentice will help him repay the debt he so stubbornly desires to complete? The headmaster argued. Glinda silenced herself. He was right in that regard. Naruto only came here to do this job. He wasn't expecting to learn much of anything during his stay in Beacon. I agree with what you're saying. He needs this. But we should not baby him. In time, he will be ready to trust in us to help him develop in the future. And by that time, I will be ready to tell him the truth of his heritage, his weapon, his father. Both adults took a breath or two. Am I understood? The woman calmed herself down. Yes, Osborn. With the civil discourse done, she turned around ready to leave the room. Linda, the man called out as if begging her to stop. She did only because he was superior to her. She listened intently for the next words to come out of Osborn's mouth. It's not your fault you abandoned your child to the man who fathered him. You believed you weren't ready, and judging by the man you described to me all those years ago, he wasn't as well. He probably thought of a solution most beneficial to the both of you. Osborn, you just don't understand. Glinda weakly replied. And what's not to understand? The headmaster questioned. Your child would be right around his age, wouldn't it? He's essentially an orphan too. Are you projecting that image of your lost child onto the boy? Glinda stormed off and left the room. You don't understand, Glinda thought begrudgingly as memories seeped into her head. He won't be accepted. The only way is for us to be wed. He said sadly. Glinda lowered her gaze to her sheets. Hey, now I thought it was clear that you didn't love me like that. Firefly? My nickname. Having second thoughts beat down your steel heart. He flashed a wide smile to her. I'm ready to make you my wife if it means a safe life for our child. I can't do that. I'm sorry. It's alright. I'll send him to someone I can trust. He reassured. He'll be safe there and I'll send letters to you to give you an idea of how he is doing. Will that be fine? Yes. She replied happily. I'm going to miss that smile. With that sentence done, the man gave her one last kiss before disappearing out of the window. Linda did not want to see that memory again. It stung too much. Forgive me, Hotaru, it seems I'm learning regret for my actions. The first letters she got were that of happiness for the safety of the child she bore. However, as the weeks went on, guilt took place of happiness. She wasn't worthy to know the status of their child. She wasn't worthy to see her son's face. The letters kept piling up and up until 12 years later, the final one reached her door. None of those letters aside from the first few were opened and read. He had yet to name their child by that time and most likely had figured one out in one of the later letters. But she refused to read them for the persisting reason that she wasn't worthy to be a mother. Why did I feel a connection with the boy? She asked herself. Am I trying to atone for my sins by helping him become a better man? This day was becoming a bit too heavy for her. She went to the cafeteria to get some breakfast, which might help her clear her head. It was in the afternoon. Naruto silently cleaned the floor of the arena Glinda used for the first years for combat class. It was a big area with a lot of ground to cover. Much more than the ballroom the freshmen stayed in. He underestimated the size of the place, and look where that got him. All alone to clean the place up. I hope I can get some reading done after this, he muttered to himself. He wouldn't rush the process. A big place like this could lead to some spots being missed. He did not want to do that. A few hours of lonely cleaning, Naruto made a song to keep him sane. It wasn't very original, but it got the job of not frustrating himself done. Just keep mopping, he would repeat vocally before it turned into hums. When he lost focus, he would sing it again to keep him on track. He had tunnel vision by this point. This was hour 2 and he had yet to finish the other half of the floor. He still hadn't gotten to the seats yet. This is going to take forever, he moaned. I'll say. You're not even halfway done yet. A female voice from behind agreed. Ah. Naruto flailed around at the sudden presence of another person. Who he stopped himself when he looked at the girl who scared him. Blonde and gorgeous with lilac eyes. Naruto recognized her immediately. Oh, Yang, right. The girl nodded. What are you doing here? He asked quickly. To confirm when we'll have our spar. Ruby ran off before I could give an answer. Okay. Yang said. When are we having our spar? Naruto fumbled a little. Didn't hear a no. Well, Yang. I do. Objection. Ruby dashed into the arena and skidded to a halt next to her sister. You will spar with my sister. Naruto stared blankly. Overruled. He turned around to continue his job of mopping the floor. End of discussion. Nope. Ruby interjected. Naruto did not answer. If he did, he'd return to the same argument earlier in the morning. He kept mopping and ignoring the girls. Come on, Sir mops a lot. Why wouldn't you spar with me? Yang asked. Because I know I'll die. Naruto bluntly replied. Forget losing, he saw one of her matches with some of the other first years. He would die against those punches. Yang scoffed. Saw. You're fast enough to dodge my punches. She told him. My punches might be quick, but they can be countered with your grapples. She continued listing off weaknesses only to entice Naruto to a spar. Unfortunately, it seemed to be failing. Naruto continued to ignore them by singing his mopping song. If we ask someone else to spar with you who has the same amount of close combat ability but with less striking power, would you do it? Naruto sighed. Ruby, I'm trying to do my job here. Could you not ask me right now? But would you do it? Ruby asked the young man as if begging to find some revelation in fighting someone. I mean, you're good enough to beat a team of huntsmen without having your aura unlocked. She praised him for his achievement. We just want you to. That was a lucky shot. He said as dismissal of his skills. The blonde young man stopped his mopping. I know you see me as someone with potential. Each and every day, I see you all working hard at it. It makes me jealous that you get to fight for what you want. I want to fight too. I want to protect my family. But I'm so weak, I'm a fly, and all of you guys are fly swatters. The girls did not speak. It looked like Naruto needed to vent out a little, so they let him speak his mind. I'm not a student. I'm a janitor. I came here to get money to help out my caretaker in the orphanage I grew up in. I came here to make the little kids that hadn't seen or heard of their parents have a little slice of life with whatever I can pay with the wages this school has to offer. In addition, even if he does improve, he's not a huntsman in the eyes of the Guild of Remnant. A baritone voice of a man spoke. Naruto recognized the voice. Boss. He exclaimed. Ah. Boss, I can explain. The young man panicked and spouted incoherent excuses. Relax. I've heard most of it. The older man pinched the bridge of his nose. How about this? What do you think of me fighting you? Huh? The white-haired man pulled on two identical buttons on his janitorial jumpsuit. He flicked them up as if they were a coin. When they came down, two swords, one yin, the other yang, were in his hands. I'll fight you. I mean, I have my aura locked, so we are equal in that regard. What do you say? Naruto's clenched fists, which he didn't know were like that the whole time, slacked. Fine. You're all so stubborn about me doing this. I'll fight. Let me get my weapons. He went into the locker room. A minute later, and he came out with a pair of gauntlets of magnificent craft. Ruby ogled at it like it was a diamond. Naruto walked up to his boss and took a fighting stance. Are you ready, boss? Call me Emiya. Boss makes me sound like a leader of a mafia. Osmond stared at his screen. He leaned back to process the scene he had witnessed. Well, this is one thing I did not expect him to do. Chapter 5. A simple truth. Yang and Ruby were awed by the sight of two combatants on somewhat equal skill. The sister duo watched as blades meant to maim were blocked instantly and countered upon. Some were parried and set up for an immediate feint to trip up the other. I have a feeling that the joke on the dustnet may actually be true, Ruby. Yang told her little sister. Said little sister grunted her agreement. That older one, Emiya, was it? He's got a lot of experience. Naruto ducked and weaved around his boss's slashes like a pro boxer. His feet were constantly moving to keep himself alert against feints his opponent could possibly use. He kept out of range and only entered Emiya's domain when he saw an area he could enter into. His movements were like a dancing flame that stayed on the wick of the candle. He moved with the incoming sword's motion. He anchored his foot then countered in a far more separate direction. The dual wielder arched back in time for the fist to marginally miss. You're more skilled than you say you do. Emiya remarked while still swinging his weapons. Naruto was forced to evade even more now that the swordsman upped the speed of his swings. You've been hardwired to evade and wait for the right moment. The offensive pressure Naruto's boss displayed forced the young man to pace back with every maiming swing. The young man blocked a swing and made the blade bounce back. He countered with a straight punch. Emiya lurched forward and off to the side. Naruto readjusted and grabbed the man's shoulders in time to vault over a sweep meant to cut off his legs. Granny Lupa told me that a wolf always waits for the right moment to corner the prey. He repositioned himself with his feet on his boss's back. And which one are you? Emiya asked as he stabbed the general area Naruto was. Naruto pushed off the man's back and landed decently into a skidding stop. The older janitor straightened himself. He was amused by this boy's survival instincts. It was unlike anything he'd seen before. Truly, this young Franus was something special. Emiya turned around and held his blades in a reverse grip. The left hand crossed over to his right and the flat of the yin blade was parallel to his forehead. The right hand was positioned at the elbow with the yang blade directing its point to the right. He made a guard with his blades to form a Z shape. Naruto did not let go of his fighting stance. I'm neither. I'm the bird that watches from afar. Ruby watched closely at the janitorial boss's form. Instantly, she saw the trick. He's a tricky swordsman. He's baiting Naruto with openings. Ruby noticed. It's suicidal, but effective in the right hands. He's only using it half the time. Yang mentioned. As if holding back. Personally, I think it's because the boy is not as skilled as veteran huntsman, or that utilizing that kind of form means that man knows the openings he make will be the ones seasoned warriors will aim for. His opponent is merely going against that idea by using brute force and instinct. Blake said from Yang's right. I'm surprised both of you caught on. Blake. The sisters shouted in sync. Don't forget about me. Y said from Ruby's left. How rude of my teammates to forget one of their own. Hey. Ruby pouted at the indication that she didn't care about her team. We left you to finish your dinner. We didn't want to bother you because we were looking for him. She put up a finger and pointed it at Naruto, who swung at his boss with an uppercut to the chin once he got close enough. The man parried the blow and opened Naruto's right side. The boy's right foot dragged behind all along the floor in an arc. The swift movement allowed him to miss the counter that would have cut from his right shoulder to left hip. Naruto saw an opportunity to disarm his boss and took it. The outstretched right hand was caught at the wrist. The man's eyes widened. Would he get caught by this simplistic arm break? The man flipped grips and stabbed at the gauntlet to make it miss. That guy. Weiss eyed the blonde. His footsteps and general arm movement are stellar for a janitor. His offense is lacking, while his defense is a tad better. She criticized. Those punches are easily telegraphed, and with that man as his opponent, little could surprise that experienced warrior from the standard street fighting. Yang glared at the girl in white. What? Don't tell me you believe he's huntsman material. He's holding his own against an obviously experienced and unconventional swordsman. Blake interjected. I believe he has what it takes. Weiss frowned upon the statement. Blake hardly cared. She focused on the wielder of AzureFlameXIIIGod intently. If those boxing gloves are actually used to their full potential, then this fight would be another story. She watched as Naruto rolled along the floor since he took damage from a straight kick to the abdomen. The rest of her team eyed her suspiciously. To ward off that suspicion, she pointed out an obvious feature of AzureFlameXIIIGod. Look at the structure on the forearm of his gauntlets. They look like exhaust pipes or something akin to it. It could be a propulsion system, but why is he not using it? Ruby chimed in. Maybe he needs dust. The leader of the team suggested. Yang had to destroy the girl's theory. I'm sure that if he's had his weapon for as long as he's shown comfortably fighting with it, then he probably would have used dust by now. Ruby. Blake and Weiss agreed. If it is powered by dust, I doubt he wants to kill his boss. I don't think that man has any qualms about dismembering his subordinate. Weiss pointed out. The man's swings are meant to a satisfying impact echoed around the nearly empty arena. The girl in white quickly slammed her mouth shut. Naruto sent the man skidding across the arena with one punch. The members of Team rwby were shocked to see that the young man's punch was that powerful. How? When did he? Blake offered some insight to alleviate Weiss's confusion. He probably acclimated to the amount of punishment needed to deal some considerable damage to a fighter with an aura and used it in this fight. When all you've been fighting is warriors with aura, you would expect all of them to have one right off the bat. Though in this case Naruto most likely forgot. What a nasty right you have there. Emiya complimented. If I didn't know any better, I thought you were trying to kill me. Naruto winced at the interpretation. Sorry. And that concludes your battle, Mr. Emiya and Uzumaki. The stern voice of one Glinda Goodwitch spoke. The occupants of the room were startled by the addition of a new individual. The two males stared at the woman behind Emiya. Immediately, the two bowed apologetically. Stand up properly. She ordered. The janitors complied. Now what brought this on? I recall that you, Mr. Uzumaki, are supposed to be cleaning this place, not stain it with your sweat. And you, Mr. Emiya, drawing your blade at a young man without an aura is tantamount to murder with the experience you have. The white-haired man disengaged his swords and returned them to their place on his jumpsuit as buttons. Don't you know what one well-placed strike would have done to the boy? Have a nice scar to remember me by. The man shrugged his shoulders. It's not that serious. He played it off. This kid has got what it takes to beat the sheep in your roster. If he's this good without his aura, I imagine that he won't even need his aura to protect him while in battle because he's so used to the idea he'll die in one hit. Glinda took into consideration the man's assessment of the boy. Along with what she saw near the end of the spar and the footage from 2 weeks ago, Naruto downplayed his skills immensely. Naruto listened in on the evaluation. He didn't know whether or not his boss compliments were right. All he did was run until he got the openings he needed to land those hits. It wasn't anything special in his honest opinion. He didn't understand why everyone was so intent on making him see this potential he had. His potential was equal to that of. I will admit, your skills are tuned, but they are acted upon crudely. Glinda gave her judgment regarding the young man's skills. They can be improved. She said. Would you like to participate in my combat class? Naruto raised an eyebrow. Am I even allowed to be in that? He asked incredulously. Won't that be an insult to others to face a janitor? That idea will only cause people to doubt themselves. Sure, make a joke about me being good at fighting, but if they fight me and lose, won't that make them a laughingstock? The older janitor placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Uzumaki. Think of it this way. If they lost to a janitor of all people, then are they capable of being a huntsman or huntress at all? Emiya asked of the boy. If they think they are unworthy to continue after a blunder like that, then they should just go home. Naruto was about to retort. But if they learn from the experience and admit that there are people around them, they will strive to get better. Slowly or quickly, they will improve. What are you saying? He means you're good enough to be a student here at Beacon, dummy. Yang yelled from the stands. Like I've been trying to tell you for so long. Ruby added. rwby. Glinda turned her attention to them. The girls flinched at the stern tone she used. What are you doing at a time like this? Don't you have homework to do? I suggest you do it, or I will set you up to do cleaning duty for the cafeteria for a week. Without a word, the girls sprinted out the arena. Naruto looked at his cielo fiamma. Am I actually a great fighter? Mr. Uzumaki. Your performance was stellar considering who you fought. Glinda praised. Your boss, Mr. Emiya, was a successful mercenary that gave up the contract life to do a menial job as a janitor. In the criminal underground, he's called Archer, the man who never lost a battle or has target. And I won't be in the plot limelight after this. What? What? Glinda shook her head. I will not allow you to degrade your skills, nor do I want you to think that those skills are insufficient. We are professionals, Naruto. We know skill compared to luck. Yours was pure skill. She said the simple truth firmly. Naruto stared at the woman's green eyes. There was not a trickle of deception in her eyes. It was unadulterated truth. Never let anyone or better yet yourself think that you are weak. You are strong and a great fighter. Whoever taught you how to move like that had your safety in mind. Naruto's smile went from cheek to cheek. I guess I can tell Granny Lupa that an actual huntress and retired merc said that her training process actually works then. So will you join us for combat class? Glinda asked. Naruto hesitated. Maybe another time. He said. I doubt your students have the same control on their power and weapon as you do. Without aura, I most likely will be a stain on this gigantic floor that I have to clean up. Glinda took the underlying message. I see. Well, carry on with your work then. I expect that floor to be spotless when I teach tomorrow. The men accepted the order and started to gather their tools to clean the arena once more. They wordlessly swept the floor as if nothing happened. Night fell. Our young janitor was in the middle of reading another book on aura. He read on the balcony on the second floor of the library. It was a peaceful night to read the book under the stars, so he chose to sit there and read. Aura is an untouchable energy, channeling it and condensing it into a form turns it into a piece of the real world. To do that is extremely exhausting. Aura manipulation is a near impossibility without an enabler to help shape out the form or a semblance for it. Naruto paused at the foreign word. Semblance, what's that? It's an individual's unique ability that's awakened from inside. The young man turned around to look at the beauty in black. Golden eyes pierced the nightly veil around the two teens. Compared to Yang, she was more subtle in her beauty. Almost invisible to those who simply passed by her without a second glance. While not as voluptuous, she was lithe, quite flexible, and more than likely a cat Phronis because of the black bow on her head as camouflage. She almost looked like a floating body with how the black of her clothing melded in with the night. Thanks. Naruto said unimpressively. He pulled out his right hand. I don't believe we got to introduce each other properly. Naruto Uzumaki. The girl shook the hand that was given. Lake Belladonna. The two let go of their hands and left a growing pause between them. A pretty woman in black. I can see where your name comes from quite easily. Naruto said without hesitation. It hadn't registered to him until seconds later that he flirted with the girl in front of him. Don't take that last part too seriously. I was just translating it and I put the words alongside your face and Blake didn't react to the flirtation attempt but did to the translation of her name. The young man had gaps in his intelligence. You know Italian? Bits and pieces of it. Naruto admitted. My Granny Lupa taught me some of the words from that language. Blake narrowed her eyes at the mention of Lupa. Naruto was too engrossed in his embarrassment to see the suspicion in Blake's eyes. But anyways, you were saying something about semblances. Could you tell me more? Blake eyed the young man in front of her. Why do you want to know fundamental combat aspects of a huntsman or huntress when you don't aim to be one? The question startled Naruto, for it was not what he wanted to hear. Blake didn't stop with that question. Why do you look for the things that make them strong? What is your aim? She asked calmly. To lash out would send the janitor running out of the balcony. Naruto took a deep breath. That is a question that rings in my head recently. He told the B of Team rwby. Ever since I got here, it's tested my capability as a person to ignore what's around me to focus on my goal to help out. But lately I see that I can't ignore it. They continuously bash against my head. They want to show me something I don't want to see. Yet deep inside me, I know I want to look. Something reignited your dream of becoming a hero? Naruto shook his head. Then what is it? She noticed the boy look to his right hand. She had an idea, but she wanted to hear it from his mouth. Naruto put up his right hand and balled it into a fist to show the rings on it. I've been blessed with a weapon that won't work by any normal means. I have the skill to fight as well. But together I feel incomplete. The idea that I need to be strong to protect all I care about in this world is so far away without my weapon's full potential. The downcast tone in his voice told much of the young man's dilemma. Though it went deeper than that in Blake's eyes. Your soul isn't into it, Blake said to the boy. Huh? You say you want to protect those you care about, but your soul isn't into the idea. She explained a little bit clearer. Your voice lacks resolve. You have no idea what to protect them from. She added to her original statement. If the obvious threat of a grim doesn't frighten you, then what does? She asked him directly. Crooks. Rapists. Murderers. Madmen. The words seeped into the young man's brain. What makes you scared enough that you want to get strong to protect them? I don't know. What? Blake thought she misheard that. Was this the legacy of the Fiamma family? An uneducated half-Franus without any drive in life? This was not what she expected of him. Was everything her family believed in sent down the drain by this irresolute boy? I really don't know. You don't know what led you to that goal? She questioned sternly. I have no idea. Naruto confessed. You don't know, or you've lost that answer. His response trailed off. A sharp pain in his head disrupted his focus. His right hand made contact with his head in an attempt to ease the pain that only continued to throb. Let her go. The boy yelled desperately as he crawled up to the men. Eyes of Azure were welled with tears. Fingernails were dug into the dirt. Muscles were strained to maximum output. He struggled to escape and help her. But the person on top of him wouldn't let him go. A knife was in view. The tiny blade was sent to the little girl's neck. Naruto flinched. He could not see anything but the whites of their eyes, and he could do nothing but watch the man twiddled around with it against the girl's neck. You kids shouldn't have gone in here to play then. Look what your actions did to the both of you. The man throatily laughed at the children's situation. First this little lassie. Then you. No, the girl said weakly out of fear. On the count of 3. No. 1. Stop it. 2. Cielo Fiamma. Help me save her. Naruto begged desperately. Let me save her. Please. Something in him stirred. His determination surged more than ever. Even if it's the last thing I do, even if I die here, please let me save her. 3. Let her go. The world suddenly burst into a wall of flames. Naruto's eyes lost their lively quality as he fell to his knees while he cradled his head. The pain continued like a continuous electric torture. His mind was being shattered. He needed to stop the pain, but how could he do it? RGH. He bottled in the pain. It had to stop at some point. And Naruto? Blake asked out of concern. She knelt in front of him to check on his condition. What's wrong? I'm the one I'm afraid of, he said. I'm the reason why I don't fight at my best, I'm the reason why I want to protect them. His screams of desperation still echoed in his head. Because I'm the reason why she was burnt alive and why I lost my flames. Was his final thought before he lost consciousness from the pain he endured. Chapter 6. A simple discovery. Blake sat on a chair in front of Osborne's desk. The headmaster calmly examined the slightly distraught face of Blake's. Off to the side, Glinda gave the young woman a blank expression that radiated some form of restrained malice. The two older people were quite alarmed to hear about young Naruto's condition. Hoping to find out more from the primary source, Osborne asked, Ms. Belladonna. Could you explain to us what happened? I got too curious about him. Blake confessed. It brought out something he didn't want to remember. It was probably a suppressed memory of a traumatic event. Neither the headmaster or his subordinate said a thing. It was obvious what happened from the recording. Blake derailed the light-hearted conversation into unknown territory without any tact. Completely unexpected of the girl to do based on her quiet demeanor. And what did you ask him about that led to his now unconscious state? That is, Blake trailed off. She was debating inside her head. Disclosing the truth would further the questions towards the topic of why she was interested in him in the first place. Lying about how she was impressed with his skill, which she did appreciate to some degree, wouldn't garner the same effect as Yang and Ruby's heartfelt appreciation. The way Osmond stared looked like he knew more than he should, and that was ringing all kinds of alarms she did not want to go off. If she didn't respond, her past would be covered in plausible deniability. If she did, and it went to her predictions, then she would be thrust into a past she did not want to connect to anymore. The mere thought of worrying about her words irritated her. Linda could not take the girl's silence. "Speak, Ms. Belladonna. What did you say to him to cause such a violent reaction?" Blake stiffened under the woman's petrifying gaze. "Speak clearly and concisely. I will not accept half-truths and weakly structured lies." Blake could not muster the ability to sigh. She was far too terrified of the woman's increased strictness to even breathe in the same space as her. It was suffocating her to be in the huntress's presence. Nonetheless, she needed to answer. She did not need to have the woman hound her even more by responding with backtalk. "I asked him why he went through the trouble of researching topics that only huntsmen and huntresses are supposed to know," she replied. It only made sense to ask when he was a civilian who had no place to learn about the technicalities about the lifestyle of a huntsman or huntress. "You. Ms. Belladonna. Clearly tonight's events have stressed you," Osmond stated clearly. "Your ability to have some tact and your rare responses are non-existent at the moment. If you are unwilling to give us a normal response, one without your personal opinion inside, I will have to put you in for a small punishment period for harming a staff member of this academy. Shall we continue this tomorrow in the morning?" The blonde huntress was appalled. "Osmond. This cannot." "Linda," Osmond warned. The woman backed off. He turned his focus back onto Blake. "So will you give us a normal answer now, or shall we do it later?" Blake built up resolve to respond properly while underneath Glinda's piercing gaze. "I wanted to know why he was interested in topics only huntsmen and huntresses should know about," she replied. "He gave me an answer that was vaguely something along the lines of protecting those he cherished. He also told me about his weapon that won't work by any normal means and the skill to fight. He told me that despite his goal, combining both skill and his weapon gave him an empty feeling." She paused. Blake felt trapped between two sets of scrutinizing stares. "Empty." Osmond tested out the word. "What do you mean?" His responses lacked resolve. "I told him that from his words alone, his soul did not agree with his drive. I told him that in order to have that goal, he must have had something to fear to push himself to get strong for the people he cared about." Neither veteran hunters could refute the speculation. Many an aspiring huntsman or huntress had that same goal. Moreover, many of them had the same motivation that originated from fear of their loved ones getting hurt. Neither said anything and let the young woman complete her retelling. I interrogated him about what caused him to want to protect his loved ones. He didn't know. He didn't know what drove him to that goal." "Not at all," Blake replied. But after a few moments of pondering, a sharp pain entered his head. "It's probably a scene of his trauma." He fell to his knees and muttered something I barely heard. Osmond narrowed his eyes at Blake's hidden lie. She really needed to accept her background as a faunus. "And that is?" "He's the cause of his own limitations," Blake paraphrased. "Whatever his trauma, he cannot access his aura because of it. In fact, his aura is unlocked but is only there at the bare minimum." Linda was surprised by the statement. "You could sense his aura. But I've been in such close proximity and I haven't felt a shred of it." "Like I said, it's weak," Blake reiterated. "But it's slowly rising, probably due to his exposure to combat and due to the fact that he'd been stressed through your efforts to learn something when he should be cleaning." Neither adults took to refuting the claim. It's as if his broken soul was being mended slowly. "During that fight today, I saw a more confident young man. Now. Then you broke it. His resolve, his confidence, you've shattered them," Osmond said without missing a beat. The bluntness of his words startled Blake. Though she couldn't say she didn't expect it. It was her fault she was in this situation at all. It seemed time healed his forgotten wound and you reopened them. Now there he is, on a hospital bed, unable to wake up for some unknown amount of time. Is this how a former White Fang member should treat her up-and-coming lord? Blake jumped off her seat away from Osmond and Glinda and crouched on all fours like a cat when she landed. "I should have known this man knew something about me, but why this of all secrets?" Her panic thoughts spiraled further into plans of escape, ways to buy time, or even a way to lie and justify her violent reaction. "This is not my day," she told herself. Osmond stood up from his chair. "Relax, Ms. Belladonna. I care not of your previous affiliations with that group." That did not satisfy the young woman. "I simply care for the heir of that group." Now it only grated her even more. Osmond supposed it's because of the rare concept of a human caring about Faunus. And why would a human care about a Faunus heir to the high seat of the White Fang? Blake snarled. She did not care about her open identity as a Faunus. She cared about the headmaster's agenda with the heir. The heir of the White Fang under the hands of humans is quite the ace hidden in their sleeves. Is it because of Cielo Fiamma? Is he a bargaining chip to make the front surrender? What is he to you? Linda stepped forward. The better question is, what is he to you? She asked in her normal stern tone. His guardian gave us the responsibility to watch for him. We are to keep him away from the White Fang and make him competent enough to handle the threats coming for him. Her eyes narrowed. You are a potential threat. We have every right to question you either for the sake of it or not. Your identity as a former White Fang member adds to your suspicion. Don't be hasty, Glinda. Osmond said. Let us hear what she has to say. I'm sure jumping to conclusions will only lead to more problems in the long run. The headmaster offered the seat in front of him once more. Shall we have a proper discussion once more, Ms. Belladonna? She nodded. Then the first question to address. What is he to you? He. Big bro. Wake up. A brash and childish voice shouted. Big brother, another one meekly called. Big bro Naru. Chorused a choir of children. The noise reached his ears. A set of blue eyes opened up halfway. What's with all the racket? Rom. Rem. You two making trouble for Granny? Wait, that's just you, Rem. The comment got an indignant hey. From the child. I'm probably dreaming this up. Better get some more sleep. Naruto's eyes closed to resume rest. Like hell you are. A woman shouted as she bonked the young man's head. The impact shook the boy awake. It sent him sitting upright and alert. The young man looked left, right, up and down. The image processed slowly, but in time he realized what he was looking at. Everyone. What are you doing here? His head was patted on. We can't see our dearest little maelstrom? Asked a woman with black hair tied in a ponytail. She then proceeded to rub the organized chaos that was Naruto's hair. That hurt us, Naruto. Naruto was uncomfortable with the woman messing with his hair, but did not stop her from doing it. You passing out for 3 days also hurt us. Big sis Camellia, he said with awe. Why are you here? Why, what did you say? Naruto thought he misheard. One of the young ones sat on the bed. It was Rom. Big bro, you've been in bed for 3 days. What happened? Rom asked the blonde. We were really worried. I've just been working too hard and didn't rest well. Naruto lied through his teeth. I guess my body didn't like that. I'm sorry for worrying you. Now, Rom. Off of the bed. Lupa ordered the child. The young one complied and leaped off the bed. Now I need to talk about boring things with Naruto. Would you and the others go outside and stay there for a bit? Okay. He said. The others followed the meek boy out the room in an orderly fashion. Caesar. A red-haired 14-year-old perked up at the call. Could you take watch of the children? Camellia, Lily, Chamomile, and I need to talk about something serious with Naruto. The tank top and shorts wearing teen nodded and saw himself out of the room to give the adults plus one young adult the privacy they needed. The remaining adults in the room now stared at the young man. What really happened? Lupa asked. Naruto hesitated in answering. How could he tell them? How could he say to their faces that as a child, he murdered people? Accidental or not, he killed them to save a girl that no doubt died in that fire. He was weak to do anything then. He's still weak to do anything meaningful now. Keeping silent won't help. If you don't speak up, I could have Chamomile force your hand by using the method you hate so much. Chamomile smiled mischievously. Her frizzy silver hair with yellow tips did not shield her circular spectacles that shined momentarily, as if inspecting prey or a specimen. Naruto flinched. He sighed since there's nothing he could hide from them. I remembered a fire and a hostage situation. Lupa was alarmed. She knew the day when his memory resurfaced would come. She just hoped it was a calm reaction. What happened? I burned the criminals and the hostage. Naruto answered morbidly. I was a murderer and I didn't even remember. Lupa and the others were silent. They remembered the scene all too well. The young man in front of them was the only one to survive the inferno in that abandoned building. The heat and flames were so intense. Violent. Desperate. It burned the whole building to save someone, but failed. Whoever it was inside the building, he or she was long gone. The flame only grew as it ate at the young man's anguish and desire to burn his failure out of his head. That flame indeed cleansed all. Nothing was left of the building. No ordinary water could extinguish it. No dust could remove the flame. Nothing could stop it until the young man stopped grieving. It was an accident. Camellia told Naruto. You didn't mean it. My ore burned her. Naruto pointed out. My ore and weapons burned her and everyone else. They were barbecued. He snarled as he balled up his hands into fists that clung to the blanket on his lap. The adults could see the pain Naruto suffered. The young man lowered his head out of shame and grief. The agony of that event from all those years ago resurfaced. The foreign feeling of tears welled up and his eyes returned. The long-forgotten emotion of frustration boiled in him. I may not have meant it, but she still died. Sage still died in the end. I was trying to save her, damn it. She didn't have to. How can I live with myself for doing this to her? A woman in a white summer dress and silver armor fashioned like a knight's crossed her arms. You could accept that what has happened cannot be changed. Lily spoke up. Or you could wallow in pity and grief for something you couldn't control. It's your choice. Everyone kept quiet. The sheer tactlessness of the statement shocked everyone because they did not expect the woman, who's known for compassion, completely go against the idea. But did you forget that man's words? Did you forget his words of wisdom to you? That man? Camellia asked Lily for clarification. She means him. Chamomile vaguely answered as she adjusted her glasses. Camellia finally understood who they were talking about and kept quiet. They watched and waited for the young man to speak. When it was clear he wouldn't or wouldn't, they let him ponder a bit longer on the past. It was when his tight fists got even tighter that Lily left the room since she received her answer from him. Neither Chamomile nor Camellia dared to stop Lily. Her tough love act was one thing Naruto needed to get out of this rut. Naruto. Lupa called out to the frustrated boy. We will let you be. You can grieve for as long as you want. However, if you don't change in the end, then you will trample upon Mr. Fiamma's words. Are you willing to break your promise to him? She asked before she left the room. Only Chamomile and Camellia remained. I've already broken that promise, Naruto muttered. I've lost my flames. I won't be able to use my aura again. What? He's awake. You can't go in there yet, pretty lady. Why not? Big bro is still having big people talk with big sis Chamo and Cam. I'm sure they're pretty much done. Yang. Don't just. Hey. You alright, Moppenstein? Yang happily shouted in her overly boisterous and energetic demeanor. She then opened her eyes to see the dejected expression and body language in the young man she wanted to see. Two sets of eyes stared hostilely at the blonde. She backed off. Her back collided with a panicking Ruby, who pushed her deeper into the room. Blake followed moments after. I apologize for my teammates' actions. Blake said with a bow. We'll leave now. Belladonna. Naruto called. Yes. You wanted to know why I wanted to learn about things that make a huntsman, right? He asked with the aim of not hearing an answer. I did that to somehow gain access to my aura without resorting to unlocking it by the help of one or get into a deadly situation. I did that so that I can fight to protect properly. But you already know that part. He explained clearly and concisely. Thanks to our conversation, I found out my aura is suppressed to the point of near non-existence. You were right. My soul really wasn't into the idea. You were holding yourself back unintentionally. Blake said. Why? I can't control my power. He said. I won't ever be able to. Do you know why the Fiamma has no ability to use his aura? Blake looked confused. Didn't I just tell you? Osborn leaned back on his chair and popped open an article via hologram. Oh, you were right for the most part. You just didn't know the cause of his trauma. Blake and Glinda stared at the man with shocked eyes. You knew? The older woman asked. It's the reason why I was letting him build trust in us. Osborn answered. To rush things like this allowed for such a giant setback. No doubt he will be in a misplaced state of self-pity. Both women were left out of the loop by Osborn's words. This here article says that a raging fire started at around the nightly hours of 7. This fire did not cease to burn until the very next day in around the same hour. By then the building had nothing to set itself apart from the flames. I believe that firefighters were faced with only a wall of flame. Water would not stop it. Dust could not help. Such a flame was caused by Naruto himself. It was his aura that burned it down. Blake was astonished by the facts being presented to her. She did not know the exact abilities nor the properties of a Fiamma's aura. This was new to her. Her family's stories of the Fiamma family's feats told her nothing of the intensity of their flame. Sure, they cleared out a battlefield, but it did not stay for a day. Why? She questioned. Why would he do such a thing? In that building, approximately 75 people, not including Naruto, were charred black. One of them, a little girl's. Now in this building, a known gang hid there. This girl was in the arms of one of the gang members. One of the other members, what's left of him, was on top of Naruto. Osborn let them fit the pieces of the puzzle into the picture it made. Do you see the cause of his trauma? Blake understood. It was the error caused by desperation and inexperience. I can tell you this much, Naruto. Mistakes can't be fixed. We can only move forward from them. The past will haunt us, but we must be able to handle them. I've made mistakes of my own that I'm willing to forgive myself and move past from. The reason why I want to move forward from them is because I know they don't define who I am, but rather a piece of it. They are not the whole of my being. Question is, do you let your mistake get to you and define you, or will you acknowledge it and reimagine yourself? Blake proceeded to grab Yang's collar and pulled the protesting blonde out the room. Ruby left as well, but not without looking back with worry in her eyes. Naruto's eyes were glazed. No focus or drive to them. She wanted to say something to cheer him up but could not find the words that may achieve that purpose. She only hoped that he would be better soon and that he would accept his abilities in the future. Chapter 7. A simple way to help. Naruto woke up and got off his bed. The faded memory of the girl's face did not mean it did not fade out her pleading voice, her struggled whimpers, her stifled sobbing. He also couldn't forget the hands that did it all. His very own. His hands flashed between normal appearance to lit aflame. The phantom image jostled the young man's perception. His room gained a distinct tint not unlike the color of faded beige from the clouded sunlight out his window. His room became more orange. More lively. More on fire. The young man panicked. His door was blocked by an intense wall of fire. On the floor, the conflagration creeped towards him. The shelves stacked with raiment and a few notes he got from his studies were charred by the infectious hand of the ever-growing flames. His bed caught fire, as well as his cabinet and ceiling were coated in the same destructive element. It's then that he realized the sweltering heat that enveloped his room was something far more than unbearable. He braced his face from the intense blaze. The smoke rose, preventing Naruto from standing up properly. He crouched to have some breathing space and room to think of a way out. It seemed like the source originated from the door, so his best bet was to go out the window. The silhouette of a little girl stood in his way. She wore a white top underneath a pair of green suspenders. Naruto stiffened at the sight. The girl, Sage, was in front of him. Her eyes, covered by her jade hair, begged him to save her. Naruto wanted to do just that. To rewrite the wrongs of that day. A sudden wall of flame encompassed his vision. When he regained proper sight, he reimagined that day once more. Let her go. His hands lit aflame. He pushed forward and cocked his right fist. The fist connected cleanly. The man who held Sage was stunned by the blow. Sage got out of the man's grasp and braced herself on the ground. The desperate adrenaline-induced young man channeled his aura and spun around. His flames contorted to follow his motions. A tornado of orange flames cleansed the place of life in an instant. He turned to Sage and helped her up. The outcome didn't change. The moment his hands touched hers, her skin charred black like a fast-acting plague that burned her right down to the last cell of her body. Failure. She cried out in a haunting and shrill shriek. Naruto bolted out of his bed. He fumbled off it and bumped into his desk with a resounding thud. He regained his bearings and realized what happened. He leaned his head back to rest it on the desk surface. He ran his hand through his hair. A nightmare within a dream, just how messed up am I? He asked himself. He raised his right arm to look at the cause of it all. Cielo Fiamma, I don't have the ability to control you. He confessed to the weapon as if it was alive. Granny Lupa and Mr. Fiamma don't know what they're talking about when they said I could wield you. Your fire is your soul. Let it out. Let it breathe. If you ache and despair from your fears, your fire will burn. If you soothe and nurture it by being with others, your fire will harmonize with others. If you reject your fire, you won't be able to use it. Promise me that you won't reject it. He stood up with disappointment visible because of his slouch. I'm sorry, Mr. Fiamma. I can't fulfill that promise. He turned to his cabinet to ready for the day's work ahead of him. You let your mistake get to you and define you, or will acknowledge it and reimagine yourself. Easy for you to say. You probably haven't murdered someone, Blake. Naruto thought begrudgingly. Those words, which were uttered a week ago, still lingered in his head like a broken record. Most of Team RWBY pestered him to feel better, but it wasn't that simple. He shook his head of the thought to focus on his duty. It was lunchtime, and he was on duty to clean up the freshman cafeteria. Mindlessly, he swept and mopped the floors in a pattern that went from the corners into the aisles between the tables and chairs. He was doing such a good job at routine cleaning that he could sweep the place without bumping into a person or smacking someone in the face with the end of his mop. While he was in this mode, no one could guess what he thought. No expression could be made out from his blank face. He was aware that he shouldn't put his personal problems in the workplace. It would be unprofessional of him to do so. In a way, focusing on something else helped heal some of the pain caused by his mistake. It's a wonder how he didn't get arrested for the murder of so many people. Official reasons were that he was a juvenile who lost control of his aura, whose properties were able to replicate that of actual fire. Though he thought deeper than that. He was probably let off the hook for his age and circumstance, but he also cleaned up veil of one potential criminal threat in the future. He moved on from the thought whilst still mopping the floor. Though it seemed his awareness failed him. He bumped into a student who nearly toppled over due to Naruto's steady footing. He easily caught the delicate wrist of a female. Her lunch, however, not a chance. He didn't have the kind of reflexes like some speedsters had. Upon closer inspection, Naruto realized he held the hand of the magnificent Pura Nikos, whose celebrity status had not gone unheard of by the young man. Though he hardly cared for her status. What he could admire was her striking red hair. While Yang's hair was wild yet beautiful, Pura's was vibrant and serene. You okay? Naruto asked expressionlessly as he pulled the young woman into a proper standing position. I'm sorry. Pura apologized. She dusted herself off for any food particles that went on her uniform. Thankfully, none landed on it. She breathed a small sigh of relief before focusing on the mess on the floor. Naruto placed his hands on the end of the mop, then set his chin atop the back of his hands. Why are you apologizing? I wasn't the one paying attention. Well, for starters, I bumped into you while also not paying attention. And I added more to your workload. The young woman explained. Naruto disagreed. If anything, I made my own extra work. He shrugged at the event. Though it's not a big problem for me. More messes to clean means more money in the paycheck. He said nonchalantly. He offered a hand. Naruto Uzumaki. Pleasure to be acquainted, Ms. Nikos. Pura was stunned. Not because of the fact he knew her. That's almost a given. That name, she recognized it. How could she not? That name is uncannily familiar. Who is he? Pura returned the handshake, although her grip wasn't as firm as Naruto's. If anything, she was being cautious. Who was this young man? Likewise. But please call me Pura. It would be rude of me to have someone my age call me formally. Alright. Naruto didn't reject the request. How can I refuse that reasoning when it comes from a beautiful Amazon? He smiled as he said the innocent compliment. Oh, how he remembered his earlier comment about this place harboring Amazons of destructive potential. This woman in front of her was just that. She was the epitome of the title. Her bronze armor accentuated her flawless skin and entrancing hair. A mix of both beauty and brawn. Pura blushed a little since few ever say beautiful so casually to her face. Thank you for the compliment. No prob. Naruto opened his wallet and handed about 10 lien. Here. This should cover your lunch. Pura immediately refused. She couldn't just accept money from a worker so easily. She urged the young man to return it to his wallet, yet he did not budge. Take it. I'll be fine with a few lien missing. You however need your strength to keep doing what you're doing. He forcefully placed the lien in her right hand and pushed her towards the general direction of the cafeteria line to keep her out of his cleaning business. The young woman did not return. She did not want to bother him with his work. A shame since she wanted to talk a little longer. Then she remembered. This was the young man who Team RWBY talked about. The janitor who could fight exceptionally well for one with a lack of aura. In fact, he's the one who made Beacon the headlines several weeks ago. But even so, why does he have that name? Can you believe that guy? A student said in a hushed whisper to Pura's right. Who? Asked the addressed student. That janitor. Pura slowed her pace. She had a feeling she knew where this conversation headed but listened in to confirm her suspicions. The young man who replied like he was infuriated, disgusted even. How could he just walk up to the invincible girl and talk to her like he's on the same level as her? It's almost insulting. Pura tightened her fists. It's people like them that made it hard for the Mistralian lass to make meaningful friendships because of inconsiderate folks who harass those who get close to her. She took a step in the direction of the conversing duo but stopped when she heard what the partner of the conversation responded with, something she did not expect. If you're so insulted, why don't you do something about it? The second student suggested in an overly sarcastic manner that not even the general idiot would not miss. You know what? I will. Beep. Whoa. The second student placed his hand on the hot-headed student's shoulders to prevent the rash young man from doing something incredibly stupid. I was joking. Did you not hear the sarcasm drip off my mouth like a frickin' waterfall? Does it matter? He's belittling a celebrity. The insulted huntsman in training nearly shouted as he forced himself to stand up. A few taps on the back alerted the brash huntsman. Huh? He so originally uttered. The young man met face to face with the janitor he detested. Said janitor was rather indifferent. His face showed some form of annoyance. His eyes were half-lidded with his eyebrows furrowed. His right hand was scratching the back of his neck. You got something to say to me or no? Naruto asked. Because if you don't, I can always go away. Chester. Stop and think about what you're doing. The calmer one of the two huntsmen in training urged the other to not do anything. The reputation the blonde had made in the second day of school is proof enough that even he should be someone to look out for. Do you want to not be able to move for a while? Because if you say the wrong things, that will happen. He didn't even want to imagine his partner suffering through the pain of dislocated joints and fractured bones. Medical practices could only do so much for damages like those. The rest is left to rehab, and that at least takes a week with the advanced tools the academy has to offer. Yeah, I got something to say. Well, could you spit it out? I need to be somewhere. Naruto said snappily. From the way he said it, the bystander, Pura, knew the janitor had heard the talk about him. She also knew that the janitor did not appreciate talk like that just by the body language and response he gave. I'm done with my shift and also yeah. He paused. Oh wait, don't tell me you want to put me in my place. Exactly. Chester spoke confidently. You don't have the right to talk to Ms. Nikos so casually. Purah took a few steps forward in anticipation of a confrontation. It was getting dangerously close to throwing fists, and she did not want Naruto to get in trouble for participating in a rising conflict. Wow. Naruto snarked. He pinched his nose. The other hand was hidden in a pocket. The young blonde was absolutely impressed. He laughed at the statement. Give me a recap, would you? Naruto slung an arm around Chester whilst still amusing himself with what the huntsman in training said. Please help me. Give me an accurate historical account of who died and made you king of BS. He asked with cheery malice. I can't speak to a lady casually because of her status. Sure, that makes sense initially, but if the person with the higher status told me I could talk to them casually, then I can. You, who jumped into conclusions, must be a special kind of stupid or one of those people who can't live with the fact that they need to chill out and not get offended about everything. You. Naruto released his hold on Chester and walked away. This ain't a scene I don't need trouble. But if you come looking for it with me as your accomplice. He stopped and glared at the irritated freshman. It will not be pretty. He continued walking away with his janitorial equipment, wheeling itself away with him while leaving a trail of silence from those nearby to hear his speech. Purah was rather amazed that the janitor was quite restrained. She had underestimated his patience. She looked at the lean Naruto gave her and internally vowed to pay him back. She got her lunch again and returned to her table where both Team RWBY and her team sat at. Immediately she was hounded by most of Team RWBY with questions regarding Naruto. Hey Purah, you talked with that janitor, right? How was he? Ruby asked with concern. He's doing rather fine. From what you've told us, he was in a rather depressed state, yet I did not see a shred of it. The last member of the female team adopted a thinking pose. That shouldn't be possible. Yang told the Mistral champion. Ruby, Blake, and I saw his eyes were lifeless. It lacked drive to them. Could he have recovered? Unlikely. Blake gave her opinion in the matter. No one could get over their mistake of that magnitude so quickly. He was probably wearing a mask to perform his duties without any interruption from concerned parties minus Weiss like us. The heiress stopped herself from a verbal reply. She would not be insulted by this. She didn't even know the young man. For all she knew, it could be a hoax. Those marks on his cheeks were suspiciously of Franus origin. She kept her distance away from the individual who's the hot topic among her teammates and classmates. The sensible ones agreed with Blake's statement. They had heard about what the young man went through and were distraught by the imagery. Blake chose to disclose what Naruto remembered, which was based on what Ozpin revealed. She only did it because Ruby was so concerned for him. Blake specifically told only her leader. She didn't expect Ruby to tell Team JNPR. In the end, they understood that Naruto's current personality was a facade. There was no way he could have gotten over it in so little time. The two teams left. They would figure out something to help out, but first homework. Purah dialed a number on her scroll and waited for the receiver to answer it. A few seconds later, and she was met with the gruff voice of a young man. Sister. What can I do for you in this ungodly hour of night? Iska. I need to talk to you about mother's family. The young man on the other side of the phone groaned. Sister. Do we need to have a talk about nicknames over the phone rule? Sorry. She said bashfully. But once again, regarding mother's family. Do you recall any living relatives she had? Not in particular, no. Though it's plausible there is at least one alive and well and some part of the possible that some are alive and well. The young man, Iska, replied cautiously. Where are you going with this? He asked. I met a young man who bore mother's maiden name. Purah answered. And? This is important, why? You know how mother wants to reconnect with her side of the family. The Amazon berated her little brother. Maybe you're jumping the gun. Iska said. You just met this person. Who's to say this is a mere coincidence? For all we know, this is some person who changed his name or adopted it because no one in particular uses the name. Purah was about to retort. I know you want to help mother in her quest to find answers to her lost clan, but you must confirm it with this person to know if he is truly an Uzumaki by blood or by choice. Understood. The elder sister saw reason and calmed down. Understood, little brother. Good night. Good night. John took a nightly stroll around the fountain in front of his dorm. He was appreciating the tranquil nightlife around him. The clouds parted to reveal the various stars in the night sky. They sparkled with a distinct intensity to them. He sat at the edge of the fountain to enjoy the sight up above. He looked down to watch Vale's cityscape. The aura of light, caused by the various sources of illumination, blanketed the city like a warm blanket. He didn't even need to head out to the cliff to know the nightlife over there was bustling. However, a figure in the distance wasn't quite as lively as the background. John realized the figure was none other than Naruto, heading for the cliffs. What could he be doing over there? John wasted no time thinking because from the looks of things, Naruto's hesitant steps were a kind of visual he did not need to imagine with the cliff over on the horizon. He ran. Naruto cradled his right wrist with his left hand. Cielo Fiamma's crystal still shone a magnificent blue. It radiated security, confidence, harmony, and the pure blue sky. It was everything he was not. Everything he failed to be because of that day. Sage's face haunted him even now. He wanted it gone. He wanted to erase the pain inside. That means the cause of this needed to be removed from the equation. Aura manipulation is a near impossibility without an enabler to help shape out the form he recalled. Cielo Fiamma was his enabler. In a way, this is for the best. Granny says you're dangerous for a reason. I know that now. I hope you will find a better wielder than me, Cielo Fiamma. He pulled on the rings on his right hand. Hey Naruto. John shouted from behind. The janitor immediately stopped. John walked up to him. What's up? Nothing much. Naruto lied. You? John decided to be honest. Disastrous. Why? I'm a screw-up. John confessed vaguely. How? You were chosen to be a leader of a team? That's just it. I'm not cut out for it. John expressed his feelings on his appointment as leader. I'm not a great fighter. I'm not a charismatic person. I'm not even a strategist that can lead my team to victory. He said dejectedly. I'm more cut out as fodder for the Atlesian army than as a leader of huntsmen and huntresses. Naruto didn't know what to say to that. He could hear his thoughts parrot John's own outlook of himself. A screw-up beside a fellow screw-up. Though one screwed up far more than the other. Though Naruto knew that John had a chance to fix it. He was in this school to hone that skill for all the areas he's weak at. He needed that to get through John's depressing ego. Don't put yourself down over that. No one's expecting you to lead a rebellion. People are expecting you to let and fight decently. You're in school to make that expectation be a reality. I guess John wasn't confident in Naruto's words. Naruto breathed deeply. No person is perfect. They will make mistakes. Naruto told John. You just have to face it and move on. A leader leads with confidence. Leading will have bad outcome depending on the choice, but it's up to you to decide whether it's right or wrong. You must be confident in your choices. Well, are you confident in the choice you're about to make? John asked. Now that John said it. Naruto's words were very hypocritical of him to say since he's doing the opposite a minute ago. Naruto disliked hypocrisy. It stung to know that he was doing that unintentionally. What are you talking about? I saw you about to do something you might regret. John explained. The scenery is only confirming my imagination. Naruto caught on quick. He stepped back from the cliffside. Good. I don't want a friend to die when I could have done something about it. John said happily. I'm not that depressed, you know. Naruto muttered. Then why are you out here? Naruto did not say anything. The ARC boy thought that maybe Naruto contemplated telling the truth. Do you want to talk about it, or Naruto still didn't say anything? Bro code 122. All conversations between bros are subject to bro confidentiality. Naruto raised an eyebrow. John groaned. I promise I won't tell anyone about what happened tonight, okay? John outstretched his right hand. I'll shake your hand to make it official. Deal? Naruto accepted the handshake. Deal. Chapter 8. A simple push in the right direction. Naruto and John sat on one of the benches that were set along the pathway leading to the academy main doors. Neither said a thing for a while because both were unsure of who would initiate the conversation. An awkward silence brewed because of it. John decided to speak first. So you going to tell me what's got you bummed out? Naruto sat up ramrod straight. He breathed in deeply then exhaled just as much. Fiamma reticente, pulier tutto. His arms lit aflame, which startled the leader of Team JNPR. The sight of such a thing baffled the young huntsman in training. The flames diminished quite quickly. John was surprised to see a pair of red gauntlets on Naruto's arms. This is my weapon, Cielo Fiamma, or Sky Flame when translated. Naruto introduced his weapons. It's a strange one. Not very conventional because it's voice activated and all. That and it's supposed to spit out fire from these things over here. He pointed to the arm thrusters on the forearms of each gauntlet. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do that, not anymore at least. John found it odd. You don't have a fuel source. He pointed out. Naruto nodded in confirmation. I'm going to imagine that you've had this for a while. This means burn dust won't supply enough or just doesn't work with it. Naruto wordlessly nodded again. 2 for 2, let's see how far my intuition can lead me. So I'm guessing to use it to its full potential you use your aura. Naruto eyed John suspiciously. For someone who's a screw-up, you sure know your way around structural analysis and guessing them right. Naruto quipped badly. His pronunciation of bigger words still needed work. Though John didn't know the young man in front of him was a slightly illiterate person. John punched Naruto's shoulder. Hey. You want me to listen to your problem or not? Naruto rubbed his shoulder. Just saying. And I'm just being observant. John retorted. Right. I can see that. Naruto smiled. You've got a good set of eyes for this kind of stuff. John blushed at the compliment. For a screw-up to do something right was undeniably an ego booster. Just then, Naruto's mood dwindled into a somber one. Regarding aura mine is unlocked. John flinched. The arc would hear the story right from the source. Naruto raised a cautionary hand to prevent any questions. Hear me out for a bit. It won't take long. He assured. John complied. I'm here to listen. John said. Just say what you need to say. Naruto breathed deeply again. My aura is unlocked. I myself just don't choose to use it, or rather I reject its existence. Naruto explained. It came to me vaguely, but rejection of my aura is basically rejecting a piece of myself. I reject my persona. John repositioned himself on his seat to face Naruto a little bit better. This was some story. Ruby's version jumped all around, whereas this one is focused a little bit better. To reject my aura is to keep it in limbo. How I've rejected it. Well, my aura is special. From what I remember, I have a lot of it. But that's not all. My aura can burn. Places, things, people, I can burn them with my aura. You've killed someone before? John asked. Not one. Around the 70s more like. Naruto replied lowly. Among them Naruto choked up. One of them was a friend. The Fiamma lowered his head in shame. I'm the biggest failure ever. I couldn't control my aura and they died because of it. Naruto's fists opened. They grabbed at Naruto's knees. The sheer frustration could be seen as the grips on the kneecaps clenched tighter than ever. Naruto's body shook. How? Dawn placed a comforting hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto stopped shaking for a moment. Keep going with the story. Don't give me the waterworks. John prompted. He needed Naruto focus on the story, not the memory. What happened? It's still fuzzy, but Sage, my friend, and I were running along the docks during a game of hide and seek. We were both hiding and thought it would be the greatest idea to hide in one of the warehouses. John eyed Naruto's tensed muscles and tightened grips. He was ready to listen to Naruto's trauma. We hid, but we weren't alone. We weren't caught by our seeking friend. Two gangsters found us instead. It's then that Naruto breathed a little bit heavier. John made his presence known to Naruto by gripping a little bit harder on the shoulder. He would not let Naruto slip into the memory. Having 6 sisters that remember their nightmares gave him enough experience to not let Naruto fall into the same misfortune. Calm down. Tell it to me slowly. John told in a comforting way. Don't lose yourself to the memory. Naruto took a breather again. We were dragged by the collar of our shirts and plopped in the middle of the warehouse. I was pinned on the ground. Sage was held hostage with a knife to her neck. Turns out it wasn't a hostage situation at all. They were going to kill us for the simple reason we unintentionally found their hideout. The one who held the knife at Sage's neck counted down. I had no time to think of anything else. Naruto released his grips on his knees. Instead, he had one hand cradle the other. My aura unlocked under the stress. And with the special property my aura has, Naruto gritted his teeth. I unintentionally burned them all. He said as calmly as possible. His quivering body told otherwise. My selfless act to try and save Sage was useless. I was prepared to die for her. I killed her instead. Cute, shy, quick on her feet, and could get anything she wanted without anyone noticing. She was like a tiny green ninja. He choked up in his memories of the girl. And she would never fail in brightening my troubled day. She cared a lot for you if you're tearing up from the memory of her. John observed. Were you inseparable, or was she just that caring? Both. Naruto answered lowly. She was the first friend I made. We were hardly seen without the other. Naruto explained. He stared skywards. She told me she wanted to be an explorer so she could discover ruins and steal the treasure inside them. The janitor recollected. Would have been a fine explorer in my opinion. She had a knack for spotting hiding spots. His mood turned for the worse. And I took that future away from her. John closed his eyes to think of what to say. He decided on questioning Naruto's present status. So this event scarred your mind. A nod. You pushed the memory away like it was a bad dream. Another nod. John stood up from the bench. From what he had seen and heard, John needed to push Naruto's buttons. If Naruto rejected his aura, then John would need a way to force Naruto to use his aura. And with the way things are, only one viable option could be done. He just hoped he wouldn't come out of this badly bruised and stuck in the infirmary. John asked Naruto the bold question in his head. Then am I right if I say that you're a coward? What? John mustered all the courage he could. He would need to push all the right buttons. He would need to be critical. Other and more proper words, he would need to be an ass for Naruto's sake. John paraphrased what he had heard from Naruto's story. You reject yourself, you reject the tragedy that happened years ago, you reject your skills. He turned to face the Fiamma. If you weren't going to jump off that cliff, then were you about to chuck away your weapon? John shouted. That's rejecting your partner in combat. The arc stomped his foot. All you've been doing is rejecting all your misfortune. You think of yourself as someone that needs to be pitied, well screw you. Where are you coming from? Naruto asked puzzlingly. You're a damn coward, Naruto. John announced to Naruto. He pulled the whiskered young man by the collar of the shirt. You don't want to face the truth. You can't handle it. Well, here it is smacking you in the face. You can't move on from that day, and look where it's got you. A guy cleaning floors, tables, and restrooms when you could have been a huntsman. Naruto shut his mouth. His taboos were never expressed in words. John violated one of them. He grabbed John's hand and forcefully broke John's grip on his shirt. He then pushed away the person he confided in. You think you know me so well after my story, what do you know? He roared at the arc. I'm a murderer. You did it by accident. John reconfigured the words into another truth. How could you have possibly controlled your power in the first try? This isn't some fantasy story. You aren't going to master a skill from the get-go. He shouted at the Fiamma. And from what I've heard, I at least know that your friend, Sage, would have wanted you to live your own life, damn it. If she cared about you so much, don't you think it's likely that she would forgive you for something you had no control over? Naruto stepped back, but it didn't mean John's points were entirely correct. Naruto's fists clenched. He let his face move to the side. Don't say her name. He snarled. Who are you to decide what the dead think? Who are you to decide Sage's lingering will? John was paralyzed in fear. Naruto's rage was keeping him in place. Who are you to decide what I am? Naruto dashed in with his right fist cocked to punch the air out of John. The arc recollected himself and regained his bearings. Grit those teeth, asshole. Naruto swung upwards. John stepped back and met face to face with Naruto's passing gauntlet. You think I'd let you just hit me? John asked with disbelief. As if. If you want to fight so bad, bring your sword and shield. Naruto ordered. Fight me with everything you've got. Inwardly, John wanted to piss his pants. Why did he think this would work? Confidence builder perhaps. No, that was illogical. Nevertheless, he did as requested and called his locker to his coordinates. A few seconds later, a locker slammed down on the pathway behind John. He let his mind walk away from this. Basic instinct would take over for him. Naruto was far gone into rage for civil discourse. John just hoped he would come out of this okay. I could say the same to you. John said. But I guess that won't happen. Not with your aura suppressed and all. John internally winced at his snide comment. He put on his armor over his uniform. Made him look like an out-of-place knight than a more formal one. He took his sheathed sword from the locker, then brandished it for Naruto to see. You want to fight? He hefted his shield in front of him. You got it. Naruto stepped into range and hooked his right fist just outside of the shield's reach. John noticed this and moved his sword further to his left. Naruto's fist hooked onto the side of John's shield, which caused the attack to miss. It also sent Naruto out of proper footing. John charged shield first to send Naruto on his butt. Naruto grabbed the bottom of the shield, then pulled up. John's guard was exposed and effectively exploited. One hand caught John's left wrist while the other was aimed straight for John's elbow. Seeing what Naruto could do, John scurried. He swung his right foot at the closest leg in front of him to trip Naruto. It kind of worked. It stopped Naruto from breaking his arm, but instead he was thrown over Naruto. With a thud, John laid flat on the pathway. Dazed, John looked at the sky and a foreign object. He recognized it as a shoe, or rather the heel of it. He swung his head away. The axe kick meant to crush John's head missed by a margin. The dust and debris of Naruto's attack shook John into an adrenaline overdrive. Naruto was aiming to disable him. He scrambled to get up. You're not holding back on me, are you? If I make any wrong move, you'll break my arms or legs. John answered. Then I'll just break your shield. Naruto spun in place. His right leg came out and swung at John. The arc raised his shield reflexively. The kick connected with the shield. The sound was similar to that of Yang's high-powered punches. A gunshot. The impact itself only moved John an inch out of place. Not satisfied, Naruto leaped off his other foot then swung down on the shield. This time, John buckled under the force. Naruto bent backwards and placed his hands on the floor to reposition himself into a proper stance. He dashed in and swung with a right hook. John parried it away with his sword. Naruto used his left. It was blocked and redirected elsewhere. The adrenaline-induced John countered using a shield bash to the face. Once more. Another. Naruto had it with the shield. He grabbed it again and swung it out of the way. I said grit those teeth. His fist struck true. The fist staggered John as his head went skywards. You don't know what I've been through. He sent a straight right to John's breastplate but didn't end there. He grabbed both wrists and pulled John into a jumping knee to the chin. Naruto positioned himself for a right straight. He punched John's shield, which had blocked in time. Love, my anger, all of my sorrow emotions that keep rushing at me. Naruto punched again with the other arm. What I felt about that day, you don't know anything about them. The Fiamma turned around and sent his elbows onto the shield. I lost her. Naruto lashed with a kick from above. I am the way I am today because I'm angry at myself. Naruto flipped back, then rushed with a jumping knee. Still, John refused to budge. Naruto pulled the shield out of the way with his left hand. Because the cause of it all is my own power. Naruto cocked his right arm for a straight. And I would do anything to fix this. Something triggered inside him as he sent his fist flying. John had recovered in time to look at the fury Naruto held in his fist. It sparked. Glowed. Burned. The fist met John's shield once more. However, the immovable John was no longer that. The arc was sent flying across the way. Somehow, he still stood. Well, that worked. He thought. His left arm stung. The various hits his shield sustained vibrated into his bones. John was sure his left arm had a fracture now. You're finally admitting something. John struggled to say the words. Thankfully his aura was healing him up ever so slightly. You know this is your power. You can't reject a part of yourself, your own soul. He fell down on one knee. You also admitted you want to do something about it. Well, it turns out your soul wanted the same. Naruto wondered what John meant by that. It registered to him that something warm was on his arm. He looked. Wow. Fire danced on his right palm. The orange color was a sight quite familiar. However, this time it didn't feel malevolent and scorching hot. It felt harmonious and warm. Naruto liked this version of his flames far more than the other one. It went away since the heat of battle diminished. One way or another, we have to face our fears, problems, mistakes, etc. It will happen at some point. John commented in a faux sagely manner. Hopefully when the time comes that I'm in the same boat, you'll help me out too, Naruto. He struggled to stand and failed. Naruto did more internal damage than John would like to admit. Naruto looked confused. I don't. He failed to say the words in his head. You were. Yes. I did that to let you vent out. John confessed. Sometimes it gives us an eye-opener to the things we tend to ignore. You feeling better now? Naruto walked up to the downed John. He offered a hand to the weakened leader of Team JNPR. John did not hesitate in taking it. He was grateful for Naruto's understay. Heavy blow to the head sent his forehead onto the ground. Moron. Naruto bluntly said. If you wanted to help, you should have just said so. John spoke in his current position on the ground. I initially did by listening to your story. And well, from the looks of things, it would have gotten worse if left alone. So I gave you a little push. Yeah? How'd that shove back at you feel then? Naruto asked. Numbing. John answered. Naruto snorted. No really, I can't feel my left arm. John felt a body next to him. His right arm slung over someone's neck. Hey. I guess I should thank you. Naruto muttered. Anything for a friend. Naruto scrunched his eyebrows, then gazed to his left. We hardly talked. Naruto pointed out. I'm instantly your friend. Why not? John rhetorically asked. Strangers are friends you haven't met yet. He said so casually. You're going to get mugged someday with that line of thought. Naruto deadpanned. You're gonna grow into a bitter old man with that line of thought. Naruto did not react to the snarky remark. When you live near the red light district, you have to be paranoid. Naruto explained. Ah, cool story bro. Don't tell it again. John weakly quipped. It seemed the damage of the fight had been done. The Ark's aura had been drained, healing his injuries. To the screw-ups who want to do better, he cheered weakly before losing consciousness. Naruto felt sorry for the pain he caused. Thanks, John. He said quietly as he dragged the knight to the infirmary. I'll pay you back for this somehow, he vowed under his breath. Mr. Ark is quite the savior tonight. Ozpin commented. He looked up from his screen. It's a work in progress. A woman said. That fire is still weak. It's still not up to par compared to the fire he caused years ago. But beggars can't be choosers, at least it manifested into physical being again. What do you say, Lupa? Is he qualified? Does he make the cut? He asked the ex-White Fang member in front of him. He could see the old woman inspect the blonde leader with a keen eye, which searched for John's capabilities, personality, and possible candidacy. I've seen two that can fit the same role. Lupa answered. Both are equal in character, I must say. However, the lass is more combat-oriented. Naruto will need her. Ozpin agreed. Naruto will need a heavy hitter. On the other hand, this boy is quite a shield. His aura alone could help him fit into the role. If he's trained better, I'm sure even he could surpass the lass. Yet another good point. John's aura makes him almost as much as a tank as Xiaolong. Though his skills in managing his aura is abysmal. Strangely enough, John's aura appeared to be sturdier this time around. Naruto's punches were, well, if one were to gauge it, it would be equal to Yang's punches upgraded by her semblance. Ozpin shook the thought away, then focused on the matter at hand. And what of the other roles? He asked. Only 2 remain. Lupa answered. She crossed her arms. Though one candidate is capable of either being 2 of the roles in the set. So it's more like 3 spots are open. Osborne rested his chin on his hands. I'm assuming that Ms. Belladonna is that dual candidate. Indeed. The Belladonna family has always had the ability to be one of the 2 roles. And what of the truly undetermined roles? Palmine and Piagia. I haven't met one suitable for either job. Lupa was disappointed. Naruto hasn't made bonds with others who could fit that role. Wouldn't Ms. Xiaolong be suitable for Falmine? No. The faunus flatly replied. Xiaolong's vibrant and fiery aura is more akin to the soul rather than Falmine. Ark's purity and light is something only the soul could radiate. Her explanation seemed bare-boned. Osborne waited for extra clarification. It's never a good thing to mix someone's aura and semblance to something that does not amplify either in any way. The end result would be disastrous. Osborne was taken aback by the implication. I remember when I was one of the generals of the White Fang, Secondo tried making an unsuitable candidate fit into a role the candidate was not able to become. Secondo's flames burned the victim's aura down to the last minuscule amount. Thankfully it didn't kill him. It was then that we realized we needed proper candidates for the roles. To do that, there must be close inspection to one's aura, semblance, and character. What of the unsuitable candidate? What made him unable to be a certain guardian? To be Nuvola is to refrain from contact. They shall only help when the Fiamma needs his services. Lupa answered in a roundabout way. I take it that he could not bear to stay away. Lupa nodded at the question. So in the end, a candidate must fit 3 criteria, with the final one tied to the behavior expected in the role of a certain guardian. The headmaster was intrigued by the information. What makes the different flames? The aura of a Fiamma is distinctively one color. However, inside it are the other flames, which are the other flames of the sky. Piagia, the tranquil rain. Tempesta, the persistent storm. Sol, the bright sun. Falmine, the indomitable lightning. Nuvola, the multiplying cloud. And Nebbia, the elusive mist. Upon the Fiamma's blessing, he can bestow a person with one of the other flames. Lupa answered as clearly as possible. This links to the candidacy of the hopefuls. We identify which flame will be best suited for the candidate and have the Fiamma bestow that flame onto the candidate. This ensures a proper guardian is made. Osborne found the bountiful information helpful. I believe that is all for tonight, Lupa. That is enough information to digest. I'll see to it that Naruto will find suitable guardians. Lupa let out a small, amused laugh. She turned around to leave, but not without a final set of chosen words. I'm sure you'll find out who needs to be a candidate. This is a school after all. He or she just might be right under our noses. She left the room of the headmaster without a sound. Osborne twirled his chair around so he could watch the lights of Vale. I'm not unacquainted to games like that, Lupa. And I have to say being the man to take the damage for the Fiamma is something that fits me well. Being in my domain, Naruto will be easy to protect. The man leaned back on his chair and locked his eyes to the shattered moon that shone as bright as the stars that surrounded it. However, that is not my choice. In the end, it is he who must bestow his blessing. Only time will tell whether I am worthy of that role. The ping from his desk alerted him. Osborne turned around. A message. Sender. Red Storm. The den is being split. A flame's reemergence is burning the chain of command. The den sent the bull to charge the valley and snuff out the flame. Osborne did not know how to react to that. Though it is quite handy for the Secondo's Tempesta to fill him in on the White Fang. Ever since Naruto was here, the Tempesta eyed the White Fang. No doubt Lupa had done this to ensure Naruto's safety. Taurus, he will be quite the catalyst. Of that I'm sure. The simple observer did not know what will happen in the future, but he did know that in order to keep Naruto safe, he needed to keep this side of Naruto's heritage closed for now. The way the boy was at the moment, he would surrender than fight. No doubt he will lose his life if he dares to surrender. He stood up from his chair. As headmaster of Beacon, he could not act in retaliation. He could however send others to do his bidding. He pulled out his scroll. Crow, he called on the device. Oz, what makes you call me at this hour? The White Fang General, Taurus, is heading to Vale. Osborne answered without hesitation. And what does that have to do with my current mission? I forgot to tell you, didn't I? Osborne said lowly. I have come across a rather valuable individual that the White Fang covet. A missing heir, he let his words sink in. What? Crow couldn't believe what he heard. Impossible. That man was like a saint. Not even that man's perverted teacher could corrupt him into procreating. That man had a child. Indeed. He is under my protection at the moment. Osborne explained. I apologize for not telling you, but if Taurus gets a hand on him, the only person that could politically stop the White Fang will be gone from this world. His words were met with silence. He knew Crow was thinking about possible outcomes from this. The Queen has pawns. Among them, the White Fang. No doubt the heir's existence reached her ears. Her moves will be revised to take the heir into account now in order to keep that set of pawns. Crow predicted. If it comes to that, then all the reconnaissance would have been for nothing. That and his life will be in more danger if he's going to become the focus. Fine. I'll intercept. I'm not gonna say I know of the heir's existence. Please get some information out of him while you're at it. Ozpin requested. Don't have to tell me twice. Crow said before ending the call. Ozpin made his move. Now it was the Queen's turn. On the moonlit rooftop, Blake watched. Thanks to John, she could confirm a few things. Naruto is a Fiamma. Naruto is also a half Faunus. Finally, she would help out Naruto as her family had done for the Fiamma line. It was her sworn duty as the shadow of the Fiamma line. Chapter 9. A simple session. It had been a month after the resurfacing of Naruto's flames. Naruto had little counseling talks with John. While not a professional type of session, Naruto realized John was pushing the idea for Naruto to get comfortable with his aura. Naruto also wanted to get over the fear of using his aura or at least seeing his aura in a negative light. It helped somewhat. Many of their short talks were about how to prevent burning others and what possible things Naruto could do with his aura. With each suggestion, Naruto gained some confidence. Sometimes their talks deviated to more amusing topics like pranks. They bonded together quite quickly after that. Despite their different lifestyles, many were confident that when John wasn't around his team, he was conversing with the mopping janitor. Mop in the floor to DEATH Naruto chimed as he cleaned the floor of Professor Port's classroom. He was bored. Wiping up the blood of Grim was an easy task, but with everyone staring at him while he did it urged Naruto to find something that would put his mind away from the stares. He didn't know it, but slowly, Naruto got a little bit more confident in himself. Goofing off while working was a sign of that. Ruby and Yang wondered what John did to change Naruto's attitude for the better. They had seen what happened a month ago. A beaten and slightly bruised version of the lovable idiot of JNPR. They did not know what actually happened. Apparently, the bro code was enforced. Yang did not argue, but still wanted to know. Ruby did as well. However, she could not make John cave in. NPR respected John's wishes and did not seek out the truth. Even now in Port's classroom, where she should be listening, Ruby wanted to know. She glared at the ARC. What did you do? John, expecting this to happen again, replied with a pre-recorded message, not telling. Ruby pouted. John's ironclad defenses would fall today. She prepared her most devastating technique. The don't even try the puppy dog eyes. It won't work. You have no power here. Ruby's fist slammed the desk. Miss Rose. Would you like to add anything? Ruby, caught red-handed, decided to play along by buttering up her professor. I don't think I can add anything to your thrilling adventure and struggle against the Grim, sir. Your tales really helped out in influencing my strategies to aim for the weaknesses of certain Grim. The burly teacher stared silently since he was unsure of the girl's words. Every student knew Ruby spouted the most cliché BS a student could say to a teacher. Even if Naruto hardly paid attention to the lesson, he too knew that Ruby bluffed. Well, I'm glad that I've inspired you, Miss Rose. As a teacher, that is all I aim for. The professor turned around to move on to the next part of his lesson. He bought it. Everyone thought disbelievingly. Yang nudged her little sister, teach me your ways, little sis. Nope. After class, John walked up to the janitor. You're looking better and better, Naruto. The janitor shrugged. Oh come on. Admit it, my speeches got to you. Naruto shrugged again. John gave up. Fine. At least tell Ruby, Blake and Yang that you're okay now. They were the ones most worried for you. Naruto motioned the ARC to move out of the way so that he could sweep the spot John stood on. If they're so worried, then have them look for me. It's not like I'm a ninja. He told the ARC. I'm sure they can ask one of the other janitors here to find out my location. John could not dispute that logic. Anyways, don't you have class somewhere else? You're going to get into trouble if you slack off in your work. The ARC conceded and left Naruto to do his job. Saying farewell to each other wasn't needed. The ARC was sure Naruto would be fine for now. John, however, might not be. Ruby and Yang's eyes locked onto John the whole way to their next class. They weren't verbally saying it, but John knew better. He said if you're so worried about him, find him. Satisfied by the answer, the sister duo stopped their persistent and concerned staring. Ruby and Yang searched for Naruto as soon as classes ended. Blake and Weiss headed to the library to have a head start on their homework. After an hour of searching, the sisters found Naruto sitting on a bench that faced the CCT. Their first step was to establish a healthy and happy atmosphere. The sisters did that by greeting Naruto in their usual energetic selves. Hi Naruto. Yo, servant mobster. Hey Ruby, Yang. How are you two? He greeted. We could say the same to you. Yang said back nonchalantly. You were all moody and angsty a month ago, and now you're all normal. Were you worried? Of course we were. Ruby said. Do you know how dead you looked when we saw you in the infirmary? You looked like you didn't want to live with yourself. Ruby's arms flailed as she made it her point to show her worry as memorably as possible. Yang said, she's got a point. Those eyes were pretty dead. She placed her hands on her hips. I like your sky blue eyes. Naruto gained a little tint of pink on his cheeks. Much more happy and bright than when we saw you in the infirmary. Those weren't the natural you. I'm glad John helped you out of your rut. How did? We saw the result of his cheering up. Naruto said as he leaned forward and used his elbows as support for his hands to stay on high chin. So he said what happened. Nope. Yang replied easily. He said he was under the bro code or something. Ruby tried to recall. Confidential, he said. But I don't care. We were worried and that's the point. That was Ruby's final thoughts. Yang wholeheartedly agreed with Ruby's point of view because she was worried as well. I see. Naruto muttered. Thanks for caring. He said with a smile. It was surprising to have other people, acquaintances, worried for him. He appreciated it. They asked him what John did to help and Naruto showed it by covering his hands in fire. They were quite shocked but they understood. It made sense to them. Blake told them Naruto had a suppressed trauma. In Signal, during aura lectures, their professor told them that aura is the soul in physical form. To reject a soul is to reject oneself. Naruto's aura carried a burning property with it. According to Blake, Naruto's trauma stemmed from a fire he caused. The loss of life done by his aura alone would naturally want anyone to suppress it. Yang was quick to remove herself from morbid thoughts and went to being her normal self. She told Naruto, now that you have aura, you have no excuse to not fight me in a spar. Naruto refused. Yang whined. It went back and forth. Soon, Ruby joined in the antics and begged Naruto to spar with Yang. The blonde would not budge. Give me a reason to fight you and then I'll budge. He turned around to walk away. A hand rose up to wave them. I await your exciting proposal, Milady. Naruto was on the rooftop of the building he slept in. He was practicing with his aura. While it was still weak, Naruto could do something with it. Aura manipulation. Apparently, from the books he read, it was difficult to do even with a weapon to help out. One needed the focus to control his or her own aura to their liking. Naruto just winged it and got lucky as usual. On one of his manipulation training sessions over the month, he controlled his aura and made the flames in his hands dance like a tornado in his palms. Imagination was a wondrous thing to have. It certainly helped him move his aura around using his will. What other possible things could he do with them? First he had to ignite his hands. Simple enough step. His palms lit aflame. Even without Cielo Fiamma activated, he had enough ability to ignite it. Strange that it didn't burn him, but he hardly cared. However, to do anything meaningful, he had to use his weapons. Since the thing was voice activated, Naruto tried something different. The thought about it. It responded to his will after all. Fiamma iridescente, pulire tutto. Somehow it worked. The flames he ejected coated his forearm down. When done, the magnificent red pair of gauntlets were formed without a disfigurement on its surface. At least I don't have to say it out loud anymore, the fire returned to his palms once more like a clingy friend. Let's see what to do with this. He wondered what he could turn his fire into. He snapped his fingers. Projectiles. He shouted. Thing is he unintentionally made a projectile. When he snapped his fingers, a spark ignited and flew into the air. Unaware of his actions, he heard something explode in the air above him. The fiery cloud expanded into a sphere before dissipating into thin air. Naruto gawked at the size of the fireball. It was equal to that of a frickin' small car. Naruto palmed his cheeks in horror of what he had done. Then he realized his hands were still on fire. He shook off the flames and dusted off his face, only to find out there were none on his face in the first place. So then he returned to his initial thoughts. In a school of combat-oriented teens and adults, an explosion in the middle of the night is in. The door that accessed the roof opened violently. Shikamaru. Are you playing with explosives again? Cried out a blonde young woman. She was fashionable. Purple tube top and purple pajama pants with little yellow hearts were what this person wore. Not bad looking in the curves and the face too. Her pale blonde hair hung over the right side of her face and tied down into a ponytail. Her green eyes burned with fury over the prospect of this Shikamaru person playing with explosives. Again. The two blondes stared at each other. Naruto spoke first. Hi. He said with dashing grace and suave. You made that explosion. She interrogated the young man. Her tone was not very conversational. Naruto stiffly nodded. She took a thinking pose. The concentration did seem off. Not the usual bang for sure. The sound quality was far more thunderous. This girl is already familiar with the sound and quality of her friend's explosives. Naruto thought with fear. There isn't even any residue left from the explosion, she said to herself. The young woman looked at Naruto. Sorry for the outburst. My teammate likes to use explosives as his method to fight. I thought he was you for a second. My bad. She clasped her hands together and bowed her head in embarrassment. Still in shock, Naruto mumbled. Sphene. Did it by accident. The young woman stood up properly, then asked, accident? Yeah. I was thinking of a way to use my aura as a weapon and then I snapped my fingers like this. He did the motions, away from her, and then boom. Giant fireball to Naruto's right. Gah. I did it again. Shikamaru. A young man yelled from a window down below. Quit chucking bombs into the air. Some people are trying to sleep here. The irritation in his voice spoke volumes about his hatred of the noise. Naruto winced. He felt bad for pinning the blame on this Shikamaru person. Before he could say sorry, the person slammed their window shut. He felt ashamed not apologizing in time. How have you not exhausted your aura yet? The young woman in pajamas asked with an obvious tone of disbelief. That explosion had to have used a big chunk of your aura. Hey, this thing likes to amplify my aura, I guess. By how much? She asked inscrutably. Approximately 10 times. A young man's voice intruded into the conversation. It originated from the top of the mansard roof behind and above the access door. He jumped off and landed next to the young woman. Gotta say that was quite the troublesome explosion. Now people are gonna blame me for the lack of sleep they'll get. The newcomer scratched his head. The frustration got to him that the tie that held the rest of his hair was unwound. Judging by how disheveled the t-shirt and shorts he wore and the slight bloodshot eyes glared at Naruto, this person was trying to sleep too. On the roof. I'm guessing you're Shikamaru then? Naruto asked. The newcomer nodded. My mistake. The blonde janitor apologized to the young man. I seriously have no idea how thing works. It's so finicky. That's not how I see it. Not even my teammate Ino Yamanaka here would agree with you. Shikamaru said confidently. The newly introduced Ino nodded vigorously. What? Everything you do with your aura is amplified, you say? Then it means it isn't being finicky at all. It's doing as you wish. And by the output it shows, it's the best kind of amplifier for you. Shikamaru stated. If you're not even a tiny bit exhausted after letting out 2 explosions of that size, it tells us 2 things. You have a lot of aura to spare, or that your weapon is effective in bringing out its full potential with the tiniest amount. Actually, it also could be both. The 2 teammates thought about it. The last option seemed to fit at the moment. Naruto scratched his head. Come again. But your aura say that your regular amount is a tiny fire from a match. Naruto imagined the scenario. Then pour burn dust and oil on top of that. That's what your weapon is doing to your aura. Shikamaru explained easily. Can you see how special your weapon is now? He asked as the blonde janitor examined Cielo Fiamma with a new point of view. It did make sense when Shikamaru put it that way. With how easy it is, I'm sure you can manipulate your aura to make constructs. What? Physical objects? Oh. Why don't you try one out now? Ino asked, fully interested in what this person in front of her could do with minimal information like that. I guess I'll try. Naruto mumbled. He looked down to his hands and lit them aflame once more. In his head, he imagined a sphere, arguably one of easiest things to mold into shape. His aura reacted to his mind. The fire on his palms coiled at the space between the hands and collected there as if a singularity had been created. The 2 spectators were eager to see if this young man would be successful. Moments later, a firestorm was compacted but not morphed into a defined shape. As if a miniature sun, arcs of flame sprouted off its surface. Naruto compacted the fireball even more. It followed Naruto's will for a moment but utterly failed. Both Shikamaru and Ino could see the moment when all hell broke loose and dove away. The shape morphed into something else. First and telltale sign of failure in manipulation. Off in the distance, a distinct sound of boom echoed into the night for everyone to hear. Damn it, Shikamaru. An angered second-year male shouted. Why you gotta be so rude? Another second-year, a female, shrieked from across the way. We need sleep. The same young man fired back. Plus my ears are hurting. Oh boo-hoo. Just deal with it. The window cracked open. The individual who opened it inhaled deeply. The buildup of oxygen kept increasing until it reached maximum capacity. Released, the words that came were, "Shoo-doop. I'll find you and break your legs if you keep shouting like this." In Team RWBY's room, the girls stared right at their window, where the general direction of the source of the explosion came from. All of them wore an expression of annoyance. Ruby wanted to know what kind of ammunition caused that explosion. Weiss wanted to block out the noise. Blake was more worried than she would let on. Yang wanted to fight the guy. Sounded like the guy's fighting style was a bang. For these reasons, the team could not sleep. Blake knew Naruto experimented with his aura. Though she had to wonder what kind of training he was doing with his aura to cause such explosions. Hopefully her lord did not hurt himself. Whoever this rapscallion is, I will make him pay for ruining my sleep 3 times. Weiss grumbled as she attempted to sleep again. Oh, I don't know if this guy is a rapscallion. Yang shared her opinion. Weiss grunted annoyingly at Yang's voice. He's quite ballsy to do training out in the open and at night when he knew that everyone would be sleeping. I respect people that never stop improving themselves. She said happily. If I ever get to meet this guy, I'm sure he'll give a little challenge. Just don't break his legs, sis. Ruby chimed in with a grin after she said it. IWON''T Yang answered cheekily. But if it does happen it's all his fault. Can we all sleep now? Blake questioned her team. I second that motion. Weiss added. Fine, both sisters drawled sadly. Good night. The said in sync. Back on the roof, the dust cleared. Ino and Shikamaru stared at the scorched and charred ring of cement, which had a few patches of fire flickering in and out of existence. In the middle of it all, an unscathed but half-naked Naruto in his boxers. Shikamaru spoke first, that could have gone a lot better. Yeah. Ino stared at the fit and half-naked young man. You might want to do something about your clothes. Thank goodness his boxers are intact, Shikamaru mumbled. He personally didn't want to see that. Naruto stared at his lack of clothing and blushed at the exposure. He did not want this to happen. He was thankful that he wasn't burned, but not so thankful that his uniform was now ash into the wind. He liked that uniform could have been an orange, but still. After wearing it for a month or 2, he got used to it. It was his partner in crime against the forces of filth. At least he had spares. The exhausted male of the trio moved on from the current topic to return to Naruto's issue with his aura. If you need help with aura, maybe you can ask Ms. Goodwitch for pointers. She mainly uses her aura for combat. She could help with this. Shikamaru's suggestion was met with a thoughtful look. Don't go looking so serious while in your boxers, idiot. Ino chastised. Sorry. I'll be going now. By the way, my name's Naruto Uzumaki. See ya. He ran into the building to go back to his room as quickly as possible. The janitor that could beat first-year huntsman. Ino thought aloud. Shikamaru sucked his teeth. Troublesome. He just sent a walking bomb to learn how to explode even bigger than before. The next day, he showed what he could do to Glinda. He formed that sphere of fire, but did not finish it to prevent an explosion. The huntress was astounded by the severe jump in combat skill. While his martial arts were slightly under par, something as complex as aura manipulation had been child's play to him. Did she actually find a hidden genius? She wanted to test his aura and how combat-worthy it was. It was now after school hours, and Naruto stood in the middle of Glinda's arena. What am I supposed to be doing, Ms. Goodwitch? Naruto asked since he was unsure of the setting. He was left alone in the arena, with a woman watching from the stands. Bring out your aura. She commanded. I want to see how powerful your aura can be. What? Naruto stepped back in shock. That's a bad idea, Ms. Goodwitch. Even if it's still weak, I'm sure that there's going to be a big kaboom. He knew from experience Glinda underestimated the young man's raw power. If it was anything like what happened a month ago, she was sure nothing too bad would happen to Naruto or the arena for that matter. The woman crossed her arms. She was sure of herself. In no way, shape or form that whatever happens next would be an outright explosive outcome. I can handle your flames, Naruto. Glinda assured. I'm not a teacher for show. If there is a disaster to come forth from this, I can fix it quickly. The word disaster did not excite Naruto. This was his destructive aura they were talking about. He was a novice at his own power. John said with great clarity during that event a month ago. There's going to be a disaster. He felt it in his very soul. Nonetheless, he did as ordered. I need to show how powerful my aura is. What better way to show that than with an attack? He thought to himself. In his head, he imagined that he could send his aura as an energy blast. It would be a sufficient example. The explosives he did with a snap of his fingers were too explosive for him. This way, he could control the amount needed. Unknowingly, his aura pooled into his left gauntlet. Glinda easily noticed the increasingly condensing and compacting of Naruto's aura. The colorization was off from the first time she had seen Naruto bring out his aura. The flame suddenly broke out of the surface of the gauntlet. At its core, the flame had a reddish tint to the orange scheme. Then, like a crown, its outer edges melded into a myriad shades of orange, with some peeking out as a white crystal-like shine. The appearance itself looked far more chaotic and held the power than compared to the soft pale orange his normal aura had. Naruto took a stance. He placed his right foot behind him as support. He thrust out his left arm as if pushing a wall. His right grasped his forearm to anticipate a recoil. The hard flames that he emitted seeped back into the gauntlet. A shockwave of aura reshaped the ground in front of Naruto. Glinda took action. She used her aura to create a shield at the wall Naruto faced. Compacting aura to the point that its presence reshapes the area is something not to be trifled with. Naruto tensed. He wasn't sure what would happen. He needed more support than one leg could offer. The thrusters on the left gauntlet responded with a sudden outburst of his normal flames. That might be able to do the trick. His hold on his condensed flames broke. He opened the metaphorical gates and released a large pillar of the condensed flames like a cannon. Scorching heat filled the arena. The output was too much for his support to handle. His right foot slid back much like the rest of his body. His straight left arm bent at the elbow, and the young man did all he could to stop the arm from hitting his face because of the violent pushback. The beam aimed upwards to the ceiling, while the recoil pushed the young man off his feet and sent him tumbling away from the origin of his attack. Glinda winced with each full rotation Naruto completed in his series of tumbles. He recovered by skidding into a halt with the aid of friction of his shoes and the steaming hot left hand that melted its way a few centimeters into the surface, pf the floor. Both blondes watched the aftermath. Neither were surprised, aside from the vicious output Naruto used. In the line of fire was a visible line of fire that led to the wall, where Glinda's shield burned brightly for both to see. The floor and ceiling, where the flames touched, melted the surface. Well, that answers one question. I'm not ready for that one, and I won't use that one unless I'm pissed off. Naruto muttered. Other than that, you really amplify my aura, doncha, cielo fiamma. He expected no answer, but still talking to his gauntlets was a thing he was used to by now. It was a way to say that his weapons were his partners. A few, stray patches of fire scattered the floor, but they weren't of any consequence. Glinda stared at the compacted damage to her arena. Well, small and most likely effortless if it was chunks of debris. Smaller particles were trickier. Melted material, she was unsure. As a teacher, she knew she could fix this. She had the experience and skill. Whoa. An excited shout came from west entrance of the arena. That was so cool. Ruby. How could you reveal our position? Weiss berated. Let her be. Blake said calmly. You have to admit it was impressive. Looking hot out there, candlelight. Yang hollered. Team rwby. Just what are you doing here? Glinda asked the girls. We wanted to train. Ruby said in an unsure manner. I mean, the arena is open for that reason, right? You can't exactly say we aren't allowed to come here. Glinda couldn't refute that. Besides, is it so bad to just watch someone learning? It is if you want to find out the capabilities of a fighter and use that knowledge to fight them. Blake said to her leader. Sounds like what a certain person would do. Weiss did not react to the veiled comment against her, but it was partly true to some degree. She wanted to know the abilities of this janitor and what made him so suspicious in her mind. Ms. Goodwitch. May I have a small spar with him? Yang hollered to the blonde teacher. Naruto did not allow the woman to talk. Yang was being persistent. What's the reward if I win? Yang crossed her arms. You sound confident. Too confident. Not at all. Naruto said. I did say yesterday that I want some sort of incentive. You haven't given me any. Yang could not say a thing. She had thought about it, but none that would actually entice Naruto into a fight. Food was one, but she didn't know his favorite. Favors wouldn't do much when she has school work to do. Sexual favors were unwise, and even then she would only be teasing about the idea. Glinda cleared her throat. I may help you with an incentive. She said. Both teenage blondes stared at the older blonde. Ms. Xiaolong, should you beat Mr. Uzumaki, I shall allow any shameless acts you do on the arena 7 times if you win. Shameless? Naruto asked. Ruby stepped by Naruto's side and whispered. She means when Yang uses seduction. Eh? You know, when guys are distracted when they stare at her body. Oh, Naruto responded. That was true even out of battle. She was distracting, but he didn't mind. This might be a hard battle then. He thought to himself. Yes, even without an incentive, Naruto would fight. He was just teasing Yang. But for the teacher to provide an incentive like that, he wondered what his would be. Mr. Uzumaki, if you win, you won't have your paycheck reduced in order to fix my arena. There will be no penalties for the loser. Naruto was happy there wouldn't be a penalty. Then it registered in his head what his reward was. Wait, you could do that? Isn't that a penalty if I lose? He gawked at the woman's offer. Ruby, Weiss, Blake, and Yang thought about it. It was a penalty, or it was the standard that an employee fix their vandalism. If so, then if Naruto loses, he will pay the standard monetary penalty. Not because he lost. The expression of horror cemented on Naruto's face. But how am I gonna? Glinda did not humor Naruto with an answer. Do both parties agree? I do. Yang said eagerly. Mr. Uzumaki. You know, isn't it unfair for Naruto to have less aura? Ruby pointed out. I mean, that attack had to have used up quite a bit of it. Blake had to disagree. She knew the point of Cielo Fiamma's existence. They were to bring out the flames to its current intensity. Even if Naruto is in its weakened state, Cielo Fiamma does what it's designed without fail. Naruto could still fight hand to hand, but now he has the ability to use his aura as an ace. She had faith in her lord and his trusty weapon. It's alright. Naruto said. I just need to not get hit. He crossed his arms. I think that's a simple solution for that. I mean it's not like she's going to hit me multiple times, then send me to the stars, right? Ruby wanted to say something, but stopped. I agree with the terms. He said as he made his fists connect with the other. Bring it. It was there that the others saw a change. Not his personality, but his appearance. Like eyes blue as the sky, were now burnt orange like a sunset over the horizon. What if neglected Naruto and his daughter in rwby? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoy this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.